Why, hello! Welcome to the Captain's Cast, live every Sunday. Why? Because I just don't know how to quit. I just can't quit you, chat. That is a very full cup of coffee. The Captain's gonna need it today. We're kind of just shooting the shit, you know? I am fascinated. I am fascinated by how Marvel Rivals is simply doing what is obvious, which is just give gamers what they want. And it's like a smash success. It's like, it just proves to me that this whole argument of like superhero fatigue and people just don't like going to the theaters anymore. If you just gave people exactly what they wanted, that is the promise of the premise, it would be miraculous. It would be absolutely miraculous. I mean, only too recently, there's the evidence of Deadpool and Wolverine. Just give people what they wanted. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Yellow Flash as a video. The best, or what was it? The best and worst games of 2024. Now, I did the best and worst shows and films of 2024 on the last Captain's Cast. Check it out. There's time codes in the description if you just want to skip to the Captain's transient analysis. However, I did not evaluate games, so I thought we would take a look at that today. Also, there's a lot of whining. There's a lot of whining and a lot of caterwauling and crying in the woke SJW community of tens of people. Just wacko Redditors, just insane, deranged Redditors. Do you want to see a Stalinist area of the internet? Just Maoist, Stalinist level, dictatorial, iron curtain control of thought and speech? Go to Reddit. Oh my God. The only people that can exist in a Reddit forum, is that what you would call it? A Reddit forum? What would you call it? Mr. Producer, what's the name of that? You're not a Redditor? You just look the type. I don't mean anything by it. Anyway, so the only people that can survive on a Reddit board, let's just call it, they're basically the part of the herd that has been so culled by all of the mods just banning anyone with an independent thought, anyone with a countervailing opinion. They've so whittled it down that, like, the only people that survive on a Reddit board, they're literally the human equivalent of sheep. Just sheep. And I don't even just mean that they all think the same way, because they do disagree. Like, they do disagree on little margins. But they're just very docile creatures. They're just docile. The Captain is not docile. The Captain of the Captain's Cast, live on the Swords of Starships channel, please like and subscribe, is bellicose and brimming with what I like to call natural American pugnacity. And if you don't like that, perhaps there's another channel that's to your liking. But on this channel, there's a proper dose of bellicosity. And compassionate, constructive, professional feedback. In addition to that, we're going to talk about 28 years later. I haven't seen the trailer. I want to see this. The Last of Us is going to do another season. Now, this is a subject very dear to my heart because I watched the first season on Max, and the first couple episodes were pretty cool and had some great potential. And I happen to think it's probably the most overrated show in the last 5 years. It's not even like it's that highly rated, but there are just enough people that really like it. And I'm like, this show is trash. This show is boring. This show has the lamest protagonist in the Pedro Pascal portrayal of Joel that I've ever seen. And this is not my understanding of what the game is. Because I had lots of friends back in the Last of Us video game heyday. I had lots of friends playing it. Everyone was just wild about this game. I did not have a PlayStation, so I could not play it. I played about 2 hours of it at a friend's house and was enjoying it. And I love the concept. I've always loved I think it's one of the most. It's probably the most original zombie concept there is. It just is. But I knew enough of the story roughly to understand why it's such an epic story and why it's so great. And watching that season of HBO, if that was, I don't think it is, but if that were authentically capturing the game, then the game was significantly overrated. All of that notwithstanding, a second season is on the horizon. And apparently there's a trailer or some such. So we're going to get into that. So we're a little bit randomly shooting the shit today. I actually kind of felt like going to see a movie last night. It's a desert out there, folks. There is nothing to watch. There's nothing, it's like a party at the end of the world. You know what I mean? There's no movies anymore. Not like January's like the time for movies, but I toyed with the idea of going to see Mufasa just to like as an excuse to just eat gourmet popcorn and just chill in a theater for a while but I just couldn't take it. I sat there the thought of having to sit through it after War of the Rohirrim. How you did that to me, chat? How could you do that to me? War of the Rohirrim. God, I was listening to Critical Drinker stream. They were talking about, like, he just threw out the idea that, if they just made a movie about Helm Hammerhand and kicking ass, and then Gary put in that, like, there's this, the best part of the whole story is Helm Hammerhand going out into the snow and by himself just every night picking off bad guys by just beating them to death with his fists. And it's like the Ghost in the Darkness, he just comes out of the snow, and just to have a whole set piece in the film following that, it would have made all this money. It would have been super awesome. It would have been a layup. And then you compare that with the actual film. They don't show Helm Hammerhand doing any of this. They just imply it. And then he just chooses to die at the, like, no, you, Hera, the better leader. Oh my God, that movie's so bad. It's so bad. And then you've got, what else? The Crow and Joker, Folie dear, and Gladiator, Folie dear, and all the other just drivel. I couldn't sit through one more, especially a Disney one. I've been watching Skeleton Crew. We're on a random journey now. I was watching, because I only watched the first episode of Skeleton Crew, which is plenty. That's plenty to evaluate it. I've always said, if a show has not won your interest by the first 5 minutes, you're well within your rights to not watch it. That being said, after watching one episode, I had my fill. But I don't know. I'm just sort of curious. There's not much going on. So I started watching the next episode. I think I'm into like the third episode now. And I'm like, the one thing I could say for the show, some of the visuals are pretty spectacular. But then again, some of the visuals in Ahsoka weren't bad either. So, and Hayden Christensen was in it. Anakin was in it. Anakin was in it. And so there's that. but it's so low IQ. That's the only way I could describe it. It's like literally so in the third episode of Skeleton Crew, they introduce a Disney animated owl as a new species. She's just a friendly freaking owl. Being a cute owl. And do you know why she's an owl? Because she knows things. She knows things. Of course. She's smart. She's a smart Harry Potter owl. And I'm just thinking, God, every time this show is inching towards something kind of interesting, something that could kind of pull me in a little bit, it just slides back down into the lowest common denominator, which is always, always, always cute Disney characters, Pirates of the Caribbean nonsense, references. Do you remember the battle droids? There's a battle droid. It's hard for me to describe to you how much I truly hate Disney Star Wars. Like, I truly hate it. And this show I almost hate because of how inoffensively lazy it is. It's just lazy. So lazy. What's in the chat? Anthony Tibbetts says, ahoy, Starshippers. Ahoy, Anthony. Welcome aboard. Assume you'll post, Fu Man Blue is in the chat. Says, hail, hail, Fu Man Blue. Assume your post, Master Doms. Says, away we go. Mr. Producer, do I have that one? I think I have it. Let me try again. Yeah, Restream is a little bit tricky with the... Sometimes it cuts off the beginning of the clip, so I played it twice. Tom is in the chat. Oh, hi, Tom. Says, good morning, Captain of Chat. Let's have a good one, shall we? Ahoy, Tom. Assume you'll post. The Navigator. The Navigator is at his post. Fu Man Blue says Substack. I don't know what that means, but I've heard a lot of it. Substack is the name of it's essentially a blog site, but it's a very modern... You can basically start your own written... It's like the equivalent of YouTube, but written. It's actually pretty excellent. There's a lot of really great... And you just follow creators you like on there. Anything you want to write, you can write it on Substack. So there's a lot of Substacks are news. A lot of them are reviews. Some of them are fiction. You could do anything. So it's like a YouTube channel, but in written form, is what I would say Substack is. Reddit is like a Soviet prison camp. That's what it is. like for example, can I find this, Mr. Producer? I know I saw it earlier today. What was it? Was it R Socialist Gaming? Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Yeah, share screen. Just to give you a taste, folks, of the Stalinist, Maoist concentration camp that is Reddit. Like this is what I mean when I say the only people that exist on Reddit are people whose minds have been wiped. They've been wiped of all resistance. Thoughts on Marvel Rivals? Not a fan of these character designs, TBH. That's to be honest. For the layman. Especially characters like Luna Snow, who are very, much more attractive than me. I mean, very male-gazy. And a serious lack of diversity. But the game looks like it could be fun. Thoughts? As if to ask, do I have permission? Do I have permission to have fun? Oh! God. When will the human species be rid of socialism? Probably never. Because it's so bizarre. It's so true what Agent Smith in The Matrix said. You humans define your existence through the grotesqueries of your nature or something like that. I forget what the exact line. But like we define ourselves through suffering. So the better we have it, the more we have to invent ideologies which hate fun. That socialism hates fun. So this is the pinned comment at the top from the moderator. Hello, chuds, coming from some second-rate YouTuber that none of us have ever heard of. I'd like to be specific, but my goodness, there are so many of these channels, and they all basically make the same content. You're not welcome in this community. If you brigade here, please reply to this comment so I can ban you. Oh my god, they're so lame. Cocaine communist. It's like one of these. I play entirely too much Overwatch, so I'm looking forward to having a hero shooter that isn't Overwatch. I haven't played the beta, but I've heard good things, so it should be pretty fun. What's that? Just that it was fun. Quote, this is a good one. Quote, serious lack of diversity. Same game that has a black African man, a black African American woman, a Korean woman, 2 Japanese women, a Russian woman, an Eastern European woman, a Chinese man, a Jewish German man, an Aztec man, 3 Norse gods, an actual raccoon, an actual tree, an alien woman, and a half alien man, and a partridge in a pear tree. Yes, most characters are white men, but you absolutely cannot say this game is lacking in diversity. Notice. See, you were so close. But he had to throw it in there. Yes, most characters are white men. Ew, gross, disgusting. But you absolutely cannot say. but it's safe, careful, ever so gently. Squirrel Girl is thick, but she still has a massive thigh gap, which was weird. Originally, the heroes were going to be paid to unlock faster, but they backtracked on that pretty quick. So I assume the battle pass is going to be expensive or incredibly time-consuming to complete. Overall, the gameplay is fun. I played a bunch during the alpha and beta. It's pretty fun. The diversity isn't really an issue for me. New characters are being added, and it's Marvel. The most popular characters are mostly white. Gross. So they're kind of obligated to add them all first to the game, which sucks. I mean, they're disgusting and should be exterminated. And then they'll add characters with more diversity later on in the game's lifetime. Or at least I hope they will. Character designs are very unique. And while the female designs are very male-gazy, they're comic book characters. It's not supposed to be realistic. The male designs are also very idealized. They're also kind of attractive. That's gross. It's fine, at least for now. I do fear they'll go down the microtransaction route like Overwatch did, but at the moment, it's fun to just hop on sometimes. I'm not saying I love it or that I agree with it at all. I editorialize that. They pull characters from all throughout the Marvel universe, and it makes it feel like they care about the game more than most. Reply, exactly. It's not like other hero shooters don't have male-gazy characters anyways. Ironically, that kind of does fit with comic books anyways. Oh, really? Oh, we have a genius at work here. God help any of these. God help any of them if they dare say something edgy. You know what I mean? It feel weird when people complain about male gaze characters in games where the men are shirtless walls of muscle. Reply. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Reply. Because that's a design that also appeals mostly to men. Ah! They're so angry all the time. They're so mad. So in other words, the guy is arguing, look, there's a lot of muscles in this game for the ladies to look at. And the reply is, no, you idiot. That also appeals to men. Men control everything. Ew, gross. Hey, here's a suggestion. Well, if women are so good at having power, maybe they should just go get some. If they don't have any. If men are running literally everything in our modern society, they're not. Then maybe that sort of proves that men are better at it. I'm just saying. Why do women think men owe them a living? In terms of political power. They actually do think men owe them a living. And you better be a feminist male. Okay, more replies. I don't know, man. Most of the male characters in the game are basically skin tight, close to naked, with finely sculpted asses. Their words, not mine. I mean, it's... anyway, it might appeal to the male gaze, but definitely not the straight ones. Being fit, healthy, and good looking doesn't appeal to American women. Checks out, to be honest. No, it doesn't, you moron. Another reply, it does, but the designs of Marvel heroes are a bit extreme and not all that realistic. Oh, geez, you think? I mean, I've seen more women thirst over Tom Hiddleston's Loki than Chris Hemsworth's Thor. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. The big muscle man is more of an ideal that men strive towards and is made with that in mind. It's not made with women in mind in particular, even if many women are attracted to it. So this idiot has stumbled on the fact that comic books are made for men. Yeah. Most women in real life aren't attracted to bodybuilders. Hope this helps. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course not. No, they all love the dad bod. Get fat on beer and just watch the babes just, climb over each other to get to you. It's just funny to me. I love I love listening to the sheep just bat at each other, because they can't say anything really dangerous on that thread, They just have to say whatever will not get them banned. Fucking Reddit. What a cesspool. Tom, you're saying let's have a good one, shall we? I mean, it's all checks in the mail. Fu Man Blue says, I watched Casey Affleck in a movie called Slingshot. Not bad. We will take that under advisement, sir. Anthony Timmons says, The Last of Us game was awesome. So I hear. And I don't doubt. Redoubt Productions is in the chat. Says, good. Oh, wait, sorry, I misread that. Good. Let the hate flow through you. Yes. Fu Man Blue says, Rivals is still fun. The new content is cool. Yeah, I wish I had time for it. I just really don't have time for it. Fu Man Blue says, Sue Storm is hot as hell. She is. Fu Man Blue says, it's like a war on beauty. They actually think less of someone that is easy on the eye. And they do, that they're jealous. They're jealous. As El Rushbo used to say, feminism was created so as to allow unattractive women access to power. Crowbar the Skull says, Hail, Captain, hail, chat, ahoy, Crowbar. Assume your post, sir. What do you suppose Crowbar's position is on the ship? It seems rather self-evident is the word I'm looking for. I'll have to think about it. Fu Man Blue says Captain does have America. Wait. Cap does have America's ass in Rivals confirmed. Oh, yes. That's America's ass. Crowbar the Skull says, I think wokesters spend their lives sneering and sliding at anything fun. To be fair, anyone involved in a kind of religious orthodoxy is like this. I mean, that's just the reality. Like super duper religious people can be this way. I mean, really, this is what the Puritans were in early America. Literally dancing was considered the work of the devil and was a major reason why the Salem witch trials happened. Imagine, literally, they didn't even dress in colors. They were so ascetic. They were so severe in their thinking. So the reality is, yeah, I think when a doctrine or a belief system becomes so rigid and so inflexible, it naturally begins to see fun as evil. And fun is also synonymous with freedom. Fun and play literally are expressions of human freedom. That's what they are. Animals playing is like, to me, I always look at when like dogs are playing with each other or something. They're being free and they're having fun. The tyrant hates this. The tyrant despises this. And furthermore, requests permission for any fun they may or may not have. Anthony Timmons says Reddit is a safe haven for science lobotomized test subjects. Yes. Wrangler says, hail, ahoy, Wrangler. Welcome aboard. Assume you'll post so. Now, why don't we just dig into the Last of Us trailer and just see what's happening there? And then we're going to dig into Marvel Rivals just destroying everything in sight. It's in AAA gaming. It's extremely fun. Okay. I have not actually... I've seen 28 Days Later a couple of times. I'm well familiar with that film. And I mostly liked it. However... oh, wait. This is The Last of Us. We're not doing 28 Years Later yet. My bad. Scratch it. I have not seen 28 Days Later. I need to see it, and we're going to watch the 28 Years Later trailer. But first, The Last of Us Season 2. Wait, no. Share screen. I've discovered that when I try to share a video file, it does not play the audio. So I won't be doing that again. I didn't realize that last week, so... Wait, before I put a thumbs up on it, let's actually watch it.
It doesn't matter if you have a code like me. There are just some things everyone agrees are just wrong.
Lot of action shots, which reassures me of exactly nothing. Because you could put together just this kind of trailer for the first season, and who cares? Like, who cares? You get two good scenes with Joel in the whole season. One where he's in the tower sniping for Bella, which was awesome and was directly ripped from the game. So naturally, what was good in the game was good in the show when they adhered to it. And then you had his gunfight through the hospital at the end, which was pretty cool. Unfortunately, I so disliked the character by that point, I wasn't really enjoying it all that much. That was underwhelming, to say the least, and I had it on the wrong... Why does it default to this view? Damn it. Why does it default to this? StreamYard defaults to the proper view. Whatever. I can't seem to change that setting. Now then, let's roll straight into the Critical Drinker's thoughts on this. Hat tip Critical Drinker.
The past few years have seen the dawn of a new era for video game adaptations. Yeah, they'd definitely been attempted before, with varying degrees of success, but it's only in the past 5 years or so that Hollywood has seen the true potential of stuff like this and decided to exploit it. And who could blame them, really? The amount of money being made by the video game industry absolutely dwarfs what Tinseltown manages to bring in each year. The budgets for AAA games make a mockery of even the most bloated of blockbusters, which is kind of creating its own set of problems, but that's a topic for another video. The point is, I can totally understand why the fine people of Hollywood want to jump on this particular bandwagon. It allows you to exploit a vast back catalogue of pre-existing characters and storylines without going through the difficult process of coming up with original ideas. There's a huge built-in audience that should, in theory, be super hyped for your product, and you could even tie your big movie release into the game with special downloadable content, creating some weird Ouroboros of entertainment. Anyway, so far the results have ranged from good to bad to ugly to downright baffling. But one of the big success stories in this...
Oh, that's from Resident Evil. What the fuck is that? This is from the Resident Evil show on Netflix.
Ugly to downright baffling. But one of the big success stories in this confusing patchwork was The Last of Us, based off the best-selling video game series by Naughty Dog. I mean, as far as source material goes, The Last of Us was kind of a no-brainer, really. The game was as close to being a movie as the John Wick films were to being video games, and so it lent itself pretty naturally to a TV adaptation. Yeah, it might not have been perfect, it definitely dragged badly in places, the two main characters weren't as well developed or likeable as in the game, the casting was questionable at best, and for a post-apocalyptic zombie survival show, there was a distinct lack of zombies towards the end, but overall, I think people were fairly happy with it. But
No, they weren't. No, they weren't, Critical Drinker. Not this viewer. No, you just described literally why the show sucks. You just described it. No zombies through most of the show. The characters are underdeveloped. The casting is terrible. This chick. Why are they trying to make this chick happen? She looks awful. She is awful as a performer in this show. Bella Ramsey, I think her name is. She's just one of these kind of weird-looking character actors that Hollywood goes wild for. That's what she is. She's just a weird-looking, oddball character, which, by the way, is great in some things. Like, an oddball character actor is great in certain things. But this is one of these people that Hollywood obsesses over and just thinks, they're just so great. That's not what she looks like in the video game. Or sounds like or acts like at all. So yeah, he just described all the reasons why the show sucks and then said, but people are mostly happy with it. I just really disagree. I don't know. Maybe they are. But I'm not.
there was a problem looming on the horizon, dear viewer, and that problem came in the shape of Season 2.
Oh man! Oh god! Oh man!
See, much like Season 1 took its inspiration from the first game in the franchise, Season 2 was going to have to draw on its sequel to carry on the story. And well, there's no getting around this one. The Last of Us Part 2 was a bit of a fucking pig. No matter how many slobbering games journalists fell over themselves to fillet Neil Druckmann's throbbing shaft, and no matter how many meaningless industry...
Yeah, that's Ellie. That's Ellie in the video game. You could have found so many better actresses to play this character. You know what I mean? Yeah, Fu Man Blue. That actress is exactly what the woke like. The uglier, the better. They want to see themselves in their entertainment. No, I would say it's more like they want to prove that their philosophy is correct. I mean, to be dead serious about it, what the woke are attempting to do with all this crap is prove that their philosophy is correct. What is that philosophy? Well, that philosophy is that beauty is a construct of the patriarchy and society. In other words, it's not actually real. It's not actually an objective thing out there in the wilderness. Literally, beauty standards are just something that were created by men, right, so that they could get the most pleasure out of life, and never mind, well, specifically white men. White, straight men, ew, gross. And therefore, if you just simply eliminate the control of that patriarchy over everything and start giving these ugly characters a chance, everybody will suddenly reveal the true human nature. And the true human nature will reveal that we like fat, ugly protagonists in video games. Because there's this whole world of marginalized people who would have been playing games all these years. But the problem was that all these sexy people in video games were a big turnoff. And that's not what they liked. And if you just show them what they like, then they'll come in too. And by the way, all those disgusting straight white males who were themselves brainwashed by the patriarchy, they'll wake up. They'll suddenly realize that they too like fat, ugly female protagonists. And that they didn't really like Lara Croft and her big breasts. I'm just saying that's what they think. They think that this project aims to prove that they are correct. The strangeness of it is that it's so obviously not. And yet, when it's proven in the world to be incorrect, they simply rationalize it as, well, I guess there's just more patriarchy to go. That's how they look at it. There's just more bigotry than we thought. That's literally that's why they can never learn from anything. Every single thing they make turns to shit. All of it. Doesn't affect them at all. Their philosophy is absolute. That's why they want ugly chicks in games. They want to prove that beauty isn't really something that the average person desires to see, especially women. And they're wrong.
History awards it got showered with, the fact remains that The Last of Us Part 2 was, at best, one of the most divisive and damaging games in the history of the medium. Whether it was the brutal and mean-spirited execution of beloved characters,
Finish him! Fatality.
the retconning of past events to demonize people who made completely understandable choices at the time, the insufferable girl bosses who could do anything, beat up guys twice their size and don't take no shit from no man.
What you got there?
Bigot sandwiches.
Ellie's gay, by the way.
Bigot sandwiches? What? Is that an edit or is that a real line in the game?
What you got there?
Bigot sandwiches.
Ellie's gay, by the way. Or whatever the hell this ridiculous slab of beef was supposed to be. It all added up to a game that left a sour taste in people's mouths, that felt like it was made by a completely different creative team with completely different objectives in mind.
Jeez, this is like Star Trek Picard. I feel like I'm watching Star Trek Picard with all these shots of people, hammering people's limbs into jelly and like slicing throats and beating people up. I'm like, oh, this is Star Trek Picard.
The legacy of its predecessor to achieve it. It was basically the gaming equivalent of The Last Jedi, and it had a similar effect on the fan base. The upshot of all of this is that HBO now find themselves in a bit of a no-win situation with Season 2, where any course of action is going to end up alienating a good chunk of their audience.
Now, I know that Critical Drinker is cutting together all these scenes of human violence, but it's kind of remarkable because I'm like, where are the zombies? Like, wasn't this about zombies or something? I'm confused.
If they deviate from the plot of the game and change key events in response to audience backlash, it's going to massively piss off fans of Part 2. And yes, apparently such people do exist. Then again, there's also people who find fat girls attractive. It makes no sense to me, but each to their own, I guess. On the other hand, if they stick closely to the plot of the game, which is what they did with Season 1, then it's going to piss off basically everyone else. And here's the thing, if I had to make a prediction...
God, they literally chose in, is it Bella Ramsey? I just got to double check. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's her name. They chose one of the most unlikable, unattractive for this role actresses they could have possibly chosen. It's unbelievable.
Here, I'd say they're probably going to take the second option. Yeah, it flies in the face of logic, common sense, and basic human decency, but when Neil Druckmann is your showrunner, you don't need to worry about stuff like that. See, Last of Us Part 2 was very much Neil Druckmann's baby, his magnum opus, and changing key parts of it for the TV adaptation would be an admission of defeat, and his ego just won't allow for that. In fact, to cement this idea, he even brought in Hallie Gross, the co-writer for the game, to work on this season, which should really tell you everything you need to know about where this show's heading creatively. It's gonna do what the game did and probably double down on it. While I'm here, there's a few other concerns that I might as well mention now because I think they're gonna factor into the show's overall reception. The first of which is the casting. Yeah, we all meme on Pedro Pascal for showing up in basically everything these days, and while I'm sure he'll turn in the same reliably acceptable performance that he brings to every one of the 500 or so projects he shows up in every year, you're never gonna get me to concede that he was the right guy to play Joel.
A big agree. Like, yeah, reliably acceptable. That's exactly it. Why is he's like the cranberry, like as cranberry is to juices, that's what Pedro Pascal is to movies. You know, it's like cran grape, cran raspberry, cran apple. Why is cranberry in every other juice?
It's like he wasn't the right guy to play General Acacius in Gladiator 2. Yeah, he was perfectly fine in the role, I guess, because he's a good enough actor to make most characters work to some degree, but you could tell that it didn't really fit with his sensibilities as a performer. I get the impression
Gladiator folie à deux.
that he's actually a bit of a sensitive soul in real life, probably more inclined towards flawed and vulnerable characters with a lot of emotional expression, wearing nice fluffy jumpers and doing bouncy showbiz interviews, but for some reason Hollywood keeps trying to market him as a rugged, grizzled tough guy, like he's the next Charles Bronson or Clint Eastwood or something, and it all feels about as authentic as Zendaya's career. All of this is to say that I don't think he was the right choice to play Joel. I don't especially like what he did with the character in Season 1, and I don't expect it's going to get any better in Season 2. But okay, fine, I guess that's a problem that'll solve itself eventually. The bigger issue is Ellie.
Anthony Timmons says cran prune juice is the shits. Very droll, Anthony. Very droll. Fu Man Blue says post-apocalyptic shit is just the modern take on Westerns. Life without electricity is still a novel concept to some. Yeah, I think humanity stands roughly on the knife edge of greatness or extinction. And I think we all sense it, quite frankly. I think literally we are wrestling with a very existential dread. All the frontiers are gone. There's no frontiers left except space. And other than Elon Musk, there's nobody trying to push the envelope there. Most of our industries, our engineering fields have stagnated. AI is one of the only frontiers of innovation right now. Everything else is basically stagnated. Our societies are depopulating. Our civilizations are deconstructing themselves. And I think a lot of this is squarely on the shoulders of wacko leftist progressives. This is the world they've built for us. And it's crumbling, predictably. And so I think what we're suffering from as a species is a kind of existential dread. Are we going to collapse and vanish from history? Or are we going to turn the page and, open up a new frontier and expand into a glorious future? Now, I happen to believe the latter, but we're going to have to work for it. And so I think what a lot of our fiction, a lot of our shows, video games, etc., reflect is this fear about our civilization, that we are on our last legs. I think that's a big reason why dystopia and post-apocalyptic fiction is so popular and so big right now. It's a way of us kind of working through this fear that we all instinctively have. I mean, our society is, while grand and powerful and complex, it is also extraordinarily vulnerable. And I think we all sense that. So I think Neil Druckmann is a victim of the typical Game of Thronesing of everything. Everything has to be deconstructed. Everything has to be subverted. And in their view, it doesn't matter how many girl bosses that they do this with. They still think the girl boss is a deconstruction. Maybe not consciously, but certainly unconsciously, this is the belief, right? Anytime you put a girl in a role that traditionally would have been a male role, such as a military leader, such as a Navy SEAL, such as a leader of a superhero team, when you put a female in that role, that is considered a deconstruction, a subversion of expectations. Hera instead of Helm Hammerhand is a perfect classic example of this. The story, they presume, is more interesting because, you were expecting it to be about this badass king that beats men to death with his bare hands. But isn't it more interesting that it's about his lesser-known daughter? No! Because we've seen it 1,000 times! But they still think that this is subverting things. And that's all they care about. All they care about is subverting things in modern Hollywood. This is why most everything is trash. This is why they struggle so much to make a simple Superman film. Just make a Superman film where he puts on his boots with a smile and saves Metropolis. But they can't. They can't do it. You just don't even hate Hollywood enough. I'm just telling you right now.
Let's be real with ourselves, gentlemen. I think pretty much everyone agrees that Bella Ramsey was a bad choice to play this character. Like, I don't want to shit on someone's appearance, but the job of any actor is to
Neither do I. Neither do I. I don't want to shit on her appearance at all. All I'm saying is she's a very unfortunate looking woman. I'm just saying.
Physically and emotionally embody the character that they're playing. And be honest here, out of all the teenage actresses who would have jumped at the chance to play Ellie, are you seriously telling me this was the best they could...
She has the forehead equivalent of fucking Greenland, okay? Look, I'm an observer, okay? We all have our strengths and weaknesses. In all fairness, it was probably a mistake for me not to be a VTuber. So listen, we all have to accept limitations. But that forehead, man, like, where does it end? Where does it begin? I can't tell you.
Come up with? Season 2 is also supposed to take place 5 years after the events of the first season, with a much more grown-up Ellie taking on the lead role in the narrative. The problem is that Bella Ramsey somehow still has the face and build of a 12-year-old girl, even though she's like 21 now, so I've got no idea how they expect...
That's a great point. That's kind of what it... Look, in all seriousness, there's I think as a character actor, she has a certain attractiveness to her. But in a character actor kind of role, like for example in who cares? Anyway, my point is, she looks kind of like strangely out of time. Like she doesn't look like she's the age she's supposed to be in the story. So this is a great observation. She oddly kind of looks like she's still a 12-year-old, which is weird.
Especially,
I think we just figured out why Hollywood loves this chick so much.
The action scenes where she has to come across as a dangerous fighter who'd rip your throat out if you messed with her. Jesus, at least teach her how to throw a punch. Appearances aside though, this season's also going to need her to do a lot of heavy lifting from an acting point of view, and honestly, I don't really think she has the range or the charisma to pull it off. She can manage a kind of smarmy, prickly aggressiveness, but that's basically the only thing I got from her in season 1. Ellie's unique combination of plucky bravery, fake bravado, childish innocence, and emotional vulnerability from the games was replaced by a kind of sneering, arrogant overconfidence where she was able to verbally spar with adults far older and more experienced than herself that made it pretty hard to like or even care about her after a while.
Just like the character of Fern in Skeleton Crew. That is such a typical trope in modern Hollywood.
Wow, and honestly, I don't know how they expect to get over that. The casting of Abby was always going to be a point of contention too, and to be fair, they've at least found an actress who looks like an actual human female this time around instead of whatever the fuck this was supposed to be. Seriously though, Caitlin Dever is a pretty good actress, and if you haven't watched her in Dope...
She looks like a better Ellie. Like, why isn't she Ellie? She actually kind of looks like she could be Ellie.
Then I can definitely recommend that show. If you don't already hate the pharmaceutical industry with every fibre of your being, then you definitely will after that. Anyway, the downside though is that the role of Abby is kind of a poisoned chalice, and I think she's going to come in for a lot of criticism no matter how well she plays it. I don't like it, but that's the hostile environment that the game created. Now, this last one is purely one of those gut instinct things, but I get the feeling that Season 2 is going to go all in on the message. We already know that stuff like that is close to Neil Druckmann's heart, and he certainly injected every ounce of it into the second game. But while Season 1 generally managed to avoid being too overt with its political messaging, you could always kind of feel it there lurking in the backgrounds.
So, communism.
Nah, it ain't like that.
It is that.
God. These writers, they're blunt instruments. So, communism. Should we talk about it? What the fuck is that? Just write your characters with nuance and complexity and let their values be expressed by showing, not telling. There is a way to get at this that's compelling. There really is. Star Trek used to do this kind of stuff all the time without saying things like communism. Star Trek used to have these kinds of moral debates all the time. There was an episode called The Masterpiece Society, in which every person was selected for a job. It was like this colony that had sort of been forgotten by the rest of the Federation. It's a Next Generation episode. Picard visits the planet, and like all of the people on this planet are sort of forced to do certain jobs based on an evaluation of their aptitudes and skills. And there's this kind of moral argument in the show about whether this is tyranny, is this stifling human creativity, or on the other hand, does this allow people to simply live happy lives where they accept their role in life and they can actually just enjoy themselves and not have to stress about what they're going to be and all that sort of thing. The episode doesn't have to sit there and say, should we have a conversation about communism?
Literally, this is the commune. We're communists.
But the showrunners knew they had to win people over with that all-important first season, otherwise there wouldn't be any more, and so they were smart enough to keep it dialed down to some degree. But now that they've...
Did they really, though? Did they really? The third episode of the season completely abandons the main protagonists, tells a completely irrelevant anthology story about a gay love story. The whole episode. It literally, it's like the Boba Fett episode the Mandalorian episode in Boba Fett. They just abandon the book of Boba Fett for 2 episodes to just tell stories about the Mandalorian and Grogu. It's the same phenomenon. Now, why do you think they would have done that?
gotten over that initial hurdle, well, I'd expect to see it fully unleashed with Season 2. Remember Westworld, anyone? Remember how that show fell off a cliff after an incredible first season and basically devolved into a tedious female empowerment wank fest? Well, there's your patient zero right there. Ultimately, we're not going to know for sure until Season 2 releases.
Do you know why that happened to Westworld, by the way? Because I remember, the first episode of Westworld was holy shit, just like blew me away. I couldn't believe how shocking it was. And of course, the famous ending of the first episode is the man in black basically dragging off Dolores for some non-consensual activities. And it was horrifying. It was an absolutely horrifying scene. It sort of illustrated the whole tone of the episode. I remember the media raking that show over the coals. Oh my God, this show glorifies abuse against women. This show is very male gazy. They excoriated that show for that episode. And at the same time, Game of Thrones was getting all kinds of shit for all of the abuse scenes in that show. They were all pissed about the Cersei Jaime Lannister scene when he basically has his way with her. They were angry about all of that stuff. They were whining about the male gaze in Game of Thrones and how female pain was being shown through the eyes of men, not through the eyes of the women suffering it. So that was right in the thick of that. And that's a big reason why Westworld turned into an apology tour for itself. That's what happened. The show turned into an apology for what it was in the beginning.
And it might still turn out to be an amazing product that somehow pleases both sides of the heavily divided fan base. But if I were you, I would go into this one with a healthy dose of skepticism. Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Hat tip, Critical Drinker. Another excellent analysis. Trenchant as always. Redoubt Production says, I've said this many times. I'm tired of the deconstruction. We've deconstructed everything down to its atoms. I think we've torn everything down enough. We know how to put it back together, right? Yes, I would agree. I think Marvel Rivals is an illustration. Marvel Rivals is a reconstruction. It's a reconstruction of the comic book. That's why it's so successful. So there will... Look, the reckoning is coming for Hollywood. They are decaying into a fertile soil, which will nourish a new generation of great art. I truly believe that. Fu Man Blue says, I agree with Redoubt Productions. It's basically down to a lack of imagination sufficient to make original ideas an impossibility. To be fair, I think Hollywood has always been this way. Like they monkey see, monkey do. That's basically what Hollywood's always been, and the Game of Thrones nihilism has been very popular for a while. I mean, listen, Christopher Nolan sort of started a grimdark trend for a while there. He did the sort of grimdark Batman Begins and Dark Knight, and for a while, obviously that inspired Zack Snyder's Superman, and there was this trend of grimdarking everything. And so Hollywood has always kind of been this way. They're kind of lemmings. I think the new trend is it's going to have an impact, but to some extent, to tell a brilliant story that is positive and optimistic, you have to actually believe in humanity. You have to. That's why I think Godzilla Minus One is such an unusual triumph, because I think it truly does believe in the ultimate goodness and redemption of humanity, and that's what makes it such an excellent story. And you can't tell a story that powerful unless you believe that. You just can't. Gene Roddenberry believed in the goodness of humanity. That's why he was able to tell such a magnificent story about the Federation and this optimistic future in Star Trek, because he believed that. Fu Man Blue says they can only look at what it is and try to change it enough to put their stamp on it, calling it one of their achievements. Sad, really. Sad, very sad. Fu Man Blue says taking a story someone else has completed and just making some changes to it, then calling it reimagining, is no different than fanfic. Everything reads like fanfic now. I would slightly disagree, Fu Man Blue. I mean, the reimagined Battlestar Galactica series is brilliant. And it is a reimagining of the original series, but it's not fan fiction. It tells a very grounded, complex tale with excellent... Really, the best part of that series is the characterization. The characterization of all the characters is so nuanced, so detailed, so brilliant that they just feel lifelike. So what fan fiction is fan fiction is something written exclusively to please the writer. Whereas a good retelling or reimagining or continuation of the story would actually be written to please the audience, as well as the writer. So I think that's the primary difference there. Anthony Timmons says, what I find amusing is the people who claim to be all-inclusive, tolerant, and accepting of other people turn out to be the most intolerant pricks in existence. Yeah, hello, Reddit. My God. Fu Man Blue says, Wait, hang on a second. Citing a successful reimagining doesn't endear all the trash to me, but nice try. Well, fair enough. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince you to like anything you don't like. I'm just saying there's a difference between fan fiction and, a well-written story that's based on something else, basically. So it's a difference between amateurism and professionalism, more or less. Now, what we have next in the stack of stuff is video games. Let's talk about video games, shall we? Let me grab this video, and we'll see what I think. I haven't seen it yet, This is by Yellow Flash. Best and worst games of 2024. I just want to check it out. We'll see if we like it. Roll tape, Mr. Producer.
Here's their worst games. Metal Slug Attack Reloaded. I didn't even know.
How is Beetlejuice 2 not on any of these lists?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question.
Looney Tunes.
This was a year of a lot of like stuff got
Wacky.
forgotten. Like think about Beetlejuice, but also think about Furiosa and Planet.
Oh,
of the
God,
Apes.
yeah.
It was a year of
Furiosa
meh.
was good.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was a year of meh in general. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I left Furiosa, it was fine, but it's not like it made me.
Go on.
Look at all this dick riding. And I love how they rate it so high. You do not need to rebuy and replay The Last of Us Part 2 1 or 2 years later. That's when this came out. Like, what game is a year old and needs a remaster? I
Well, who
can't
wants
believe
to
that
go
they
through that
recommended
game
this
again?
so highly.
Who
That's
wants to
insane to me.
play as Abby again and kill?
It just came out like last month or this
Okay.
month, actually.
So dumb.
Yeah, here's the same thing again, and they have that Looney Tunes thing on there. There's Funko Fusion.
All right, I'm going to skip that video because that wasn't quite what I thought they were rating, like what they thought was the best of the year. So that's not quite what I thought it was. So I'm going to move on to a different one. All right, here we go. Hat tip that Park Place. Mr. Producer, share screen. Overwatch overthrown. Marvel Rivals upstages competition in player count and views as gamers reject DEI titles. Everything DEI turns to shit. Mr. Producer, the correct view, if you would. Thank you. Look at that beautiful artwork. Marvel Rivals has dethroned Overwatch in popularity as appealing character designs and a lack of forced identity politics attract more and more players. The world of PvP gaming has seen players leaving Overwatch for Marvel Rivals in droves. For years, Overwatch has been the go-to game for many PvP players seeking play as superheroes. The characters and their varying abilities appeal to different play styles, adding to the game's overall entertainment and marketing success. However, Overwatch 2 derailed that appeal with flawed character designs and DEI insertions. The developers of Marvel Rivals have kept players engaged with intriguing gameplay and attractive characters. Here's a tweet from Dextero. Tim the Tapman predicts that Overwatch is cooked if Marvel Rivals keeps adding skins like Invisible Woman Malice. What the hell is that? For instance, the evil version of Invisible Woman Malice has been making the rounds on social media because of her evocative attire. Many tourists are complaining about this character skin, claiming it's for gooners and the male gaze. What most critics don't know is that this costume is actually straight from the comics. This, in turn, has brought in many comic fans who are excited to see their favorite characters given respectful, lore-accurate designs free of the chains of political correctness. As a result, Marvel Rivals' success has been Overwatch's bane. According to a recent article by Dextero, the streaming views for Overwatch on Twitch have tanked, reaching a peak of 125,000 viewers in November of 2024. That was nearly halved to only 64,000 in only a month. Marvel Rivals' viewership peaked at 275,000 near launch and has since gained even more since then. Many Twitch streamers have seen the success and joined the Marvel Rivals servers to grow their channels. Meanwhile, though Overwatch still maintains its dedicated fan base, its developers have yet to realize what they're doing wrong. The game has not been well maintained, and there have been no reports of an Overwatch 3. Woke agendas inserted into characters' designs and lore have not helped matters either. Will the Overwatch overlords learn from their marvelous rivals? That remains to be seen. For now, it seems the gaming world has simply moved on to fresher, more attractive things. So there you go, 275,000. What's the, Mr. Producer, peak player count Marvel Rivals? Is this a recent article? I just want to see. Yeah, here we go. This is a recent article. This is a day ago from Forbes. Share this tab, Mr. Producer. Marvel Rivals Season 1 player count spikes 34% for a record high. Gee, I wonder what people like about the game. On Steam, where the majority of Marvel Rivals gamers are, Season 1's launch day brought in a record of 644,000. That's up from the launch record of 480,000, which makes this around a 34% increase. It's possible that this is going to be as high as it goes for the season, but at times we see weekend spikes on Saturday and Sunday nights. Yeah, so this game is routinely hitting like well over 500,000 peak players. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, really. Now, this is making Concord fans big mad. Hat tip RK Outpost. Ryan Cannell, the angriest man on the internet.
When Marvel Rivals released over a month ago, it immediately began gaining momentum. Nearly
I gotta subscribe to this. The X account he's got on screen, Reddit Echo Chamber. Well, hang on a second, Mr. Producer. Get me a subscription to Reddit Echo Chamber immediately. Yes, that's the one. I definitely want. Yes, follow that account. Okay, thank you. And it says Redditors are fuming because Marvel Rivals is not woke. You know what's fascinating about this? Do you know why they're so mad, chat? Do you know why they're so mad? Because this is what they thought their stuff would be. They thought that the goodies, the presents under the tree for their crazy ideology was going to be everybody playing their games. They thought Concord was going to have 644,000 concurrent players. They thought Assassin's Creed with Yasuke, the Black Samurai, they thought that was going to be the toast of the town. They thought the ugly stick, beaten with an ugly stick, what's her name? Kay Vess in Star Wars Outlaws. The ugly chick in Fable 4. They thought that they were going to be the darlings of the gaming fandom. So imagine their dismay when this video game Marvel Rivals comes along. Not a shred of wokeness in it. Not a shred. Just muscular, beefy superheroes that love America. You know, hot chicks everywhere you look in sexy, skin-tight outfits. And everybody loves it. Everybody just going crazy. Massive success. Overwhelming success. Of course they're angry. This isn't how it was supposed to go.
500,000 concurrent players at launch, over 10 million players within just a few days of this game being released. But that didn't stop some people who were worried about the message it was trying to send by having too many attractive characters, by having...
I love his bleeding heart voice. They were worried. They were worried about the message.
Too many sexy female characters. Oh my gosh, we can't have that in video games anymore. This was all the way back a month ago on December 6th. not a fan of these character designs, especially characters like Luna Snow, who are very male-gazy. So you had a handful of losers that were complaining about attractive characters in video games, and of course, you had the people in the mainstream media who weren't happy that Marvel Rivals was succeeding, while a woke game like Concord was a complete and total catastrophic failure.
That's right, dude. They want their ideas to be popular and celebrated. Ahoy, Universal is in the chat. Ahoy, Universal. Welcome aboard. Wait. What's that, Fu Man Blue? Now, are you still on me about the Battlestar Galactica thing? 15 years ago, someone did it once. Okay, Captain. Wow, it was like 20 years ago. Time flies. I cited an example. I did not say that my example was a comprehensive data set. I did not say it was a comprehensive accounting of all possible examples. Universal says, now don't get mad at me for saying this, but the fires in Cali missed Hollywood. LOL. Well, as originally a Californian myself, and as someone who lived in Los Angeles for 6 years, I can tell you that I mean, I'm not going to celebrate anyone losing their house to a fire. I'm not going to celebrate that. But what I will say is, California and Oregon, for that matter, burn every single summer. I'm telling you, it's so bad that for weeks at a time, you walk out your front door and you're choking on smoke and ash and soot. Your car is covered in ash because thousands of miles of forest are just in flames every single year in California and Oregon because of how badly managed those forests are and how shit. It's the government. It's 100% the government. But my point is, nobody cares. Nobody ever cares. And the media just run national stories about how it's climate change. It's not. It's not climate change. It actually goes all the way back to Bill Clinton cutting off access to the roads in those forests. They ended all logging, which used to be kind of like they would cut out the dead brush. They would take out the older, like the older diseased trees. They would cut those out. So part of logging allowed for some management of the forest, and that all was ended. My point is, the reason everyone cares about California burning right now is because it just so happens its largest city is burning. That's why it's a national story. But there was a small town in central California, something like 7 or 8 years ago. It was completely wiped out by a forest fire. Gone. It's a town that does not exist anymore. I forget the name of it. What was the name of it, Mr. Producer? There's probably more than one, quite frankly. Yeah, I'm not going to find it. There's too much other stuff on that subject. But anyway, it was an entire town wiped out by a fire, completely gone. It no longer exists. And it's quite miserable, to be quite honest, because every single year this happens, nobody cares. And finally, LA is reaping the rewards of what they literally drained all the reservoirs. I know this because for years they've been doing that. For years, that there's a lake near where I live. They tore out the dam, and that lake, which used to be like a summer destination, people would drive up to that lake and do some boating and fishing. Gone now. That lake is now gone. So, yeah, California is a terribly oppressed and badly run state. So listen, this is old news to me. This is way old news to me. Anyway, back to the subject at hand.
See, Vera Dark put these out. Complaining when a game succeeds, then complaining when a game fails. Classic. Marvel Rivals has too many heroes for its own good. And of course, this is back in December. Concord deserved a second chance, but we didn't give it a first.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I wonder what the difference could be. Why some people...
Why is this character in Concord right here in the bottom left wearing Tupperware? Why is this character wearing a Tupperware dish?
I wonder what the difference could be, why some people were drawn to Marvel Rivals as opposed to something like Concord. It was a multitude of reasons, including price point, including design, including the reception for the trailers, and of course, including the fact that it seemed like nearly all of these characters for Concord, they needed to shove identity politics into them, either through their designs or through their pronouns. Not the same with something like Marvel Rivals. Well, apparently the Concord comparisons will not stop, especially from the dozens of people who played Concord upon its release for the few weeks before it got shuttered by Sony. Former Concord players not happy with Marvel Rivals' success. Why did Concord have to die and Marvel Rivals gets to live? Well, maybe because people actually like Marvel Rivals. Maybe because it's just a game that's there to be fun for people, that's supposed to be entertaining. They like the designs, they like the gameplay, as opposed to something like Concord, which at first and foremost, it wasn't about entertainment. Clearly, when you see how they push these things and the character designs themselves. But
you know what's fascinating about the woke mindset? It's the sheer entitlement of it. Imagine the entitlement mindset of like, I like game, it deserves to succeed. It's not fair that it didn't succeed. You know what's I loved mostly Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, was it even close to as good as the original Mass Effect trilogy? No. But there actually was a lot about Mass Effect Andromeda I enjoyed. And I was very disappointed that... I actually do feel that that game was a little too harshly judged. A lot of the criticism was very legit and fair. But I do feel like something about it, like it just got off on the wrong foot with gamers and it never recovered. It just never recovered. And they basically just flat out gave up on it completely. BioWare did. They just gave up on it. They're like, okay, we're not going to do any downloadable content. We're not doing anything else with this game. It's over. And I was very disappointed. But did I go around complain? Oh, that's not fair. Why didn't Mass Effect get to succeed? This is unfairness and bigotry in society. Like I didn't feel that way at all. I was just like, oh, that's a bummer. I wish there had been just enough fan interest to have, like, got some DLCs to fix it and get it actually to where it was something really good. That would have been nice. But not enough people liked it. Oh, well. BioWare really shit the bed on that one. That's my attitude about it. But these woke wackos, man, they just think the world is their due because reasons.
Let's get into this. A number of former Concord players are not happy with the success of Marvel Rivals. As originally discovered by YouTuber Hero
hating the success of others, classic woke, socialist, progressive think. Classic. Resenting the success of others.
On the Concord Games subreddit, a question was asked whether or not Concord fans have tried Marvel Rivals and what their first impressions were. You see this first comment. It's not fair that Rivals is problematic and gets to live, but Concord died. Of course. Why did Concord have to die and Marvel Rivals gets to live? It's not as fun as Concord by a long shot. I hate this timeline. Well, charging $40 when every hero shooter is free is a big misstep. Being free wouldn't save this game, buddy, and Marvel Rivals isn't having success just because it's free.
There was a reply. It's one of the reasons. Cry about it.
You have here, Concord failed not because of the design, gameplay, price, or quality as a game, but because it became a target in a culture war from the moment it was...
Wrong! It didn't become a target in a culture war. It is an attack in the culture war. That's what it is. These wackos they are the ones waging it. They are the ones waging the culture war, and they accuse... It's literally as if there were an army in World War II that attacked a country. And when the country defended itself, they said, oh, they're shooting at us. Why are they shooting at us? Because you attacked them. Well, that's just very violent of them. That's very violent of them to make us the target. We are acting in self-defense. You know, nobody Look, nobody is stopping them from making as many Concords as they want. Go make your Concord game. Go make it. But don't blame us if we don't want to play it. That's not our fault. You know what I mean? But that's not actually what's going on. They make a game like Concord while also deliberately attempting to suppress games like Marvel Rivals, while attempting to deconstruct and take over things like Warhammer 40,000.
Was announced. Discussions about the game were dominated by negativity. Critics labeled it as dead on arrival, woke, or trash before there was even a beta.
It is woke, it is trash.
Or gameplay footage. This constant negativity overshadowed the game itself. Despite being fun for those who actually played it, few people gave it a fair chance. The backlash was so intense that even liking the game invited ridicule. In the end, more people criticized Concord than actually experienced it, which made it impossible for the game to succeed. Listen, whenever you look at these things, there can be a multitude of reasons that contribute to something failing. There absolutely can be. But the hilariousness of the, again, dozens of former Concord players, because the game was a complete and total flop, to the point where after 2 weeks, was it 2 weeks, when Sony said, yeah, this is over, we're done, we're refunding everybody, we're shutting this shit down. Over $400 million spent, potentially far, far more than that, if according to some of these reports, but at least $400 million spent on this complete and total disastrous game, Concord.
And I'll just add something else here, because you've got these Redditors, they're like, well, because it was labeled woke, people didn't give it a chance. Yes, we know. If there's even a whiff of wokeness on anything, we, the consumer, we, the customer, we, the fans, are going to quarantine it. We are going to do everything in our power to not support it. We are going to do everything in our power to ensure that it fails. Why? Because we want wokeness to fail. Wokeness is trash. Wokeness is the motherlode of bad ideas. Wokeness is a delusional mental insanity. It's gross. It's unattractive. We don't like it. We are quite deliberately avoiding it. You don't want our game to succeed because it's woke. Correct. Correct. We don't want your game to succeed because it's woke, because everything woke touches turns to shit. We will inflict defeat after defeat after defeat on wokeness until this ideology is so laughable, so radioactive, that nobody will ever go near it ever again. So stop acting like this isn't what we want. We want this. We want wokeness to fail. We're glad. We're glad Concord fail. It's trash. Your woke ideas are trash. They fail everywhere they're tried. Every single project they're involved in fails. Spectacularly. When will the lesson be learned? When will it be learned?
And as we speak now, even over a month after its release, Marvel Rivals is still peaking over 400,000. 24-hour peak, 400,000, 15 people playing it. Right now, I'm recording this about 2 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time in the United States, nearly 300,000 people playing it. But one of the biggest factors for this game, there is no doubt about it, are the way the characters were designed. And when you look at the way these characters were designed...
Speaking of Tupperware head, Universal says... or Anthony says, it's a bird, no, it's a plane, no, it's Tupperware person thingy. Universal pointing out that Tupperware is bankrupt now. Wrangler says, by the time the culture shifts, wokeness will barely be a punchline in stand-up routines. We can only hope.
Especially with their pronouns on full display for everybody to see, for them to virtue signal all about. Yeah, the designs in Marvel Rivals look much more appealing to people. Like, it's not going to be a fucking completely trash game. Same thing goes for all the promotional material. And when it was all said and done, no one was interested in Concord. A lot of people very interested and still interested in Marvel Rivals. And I certainly feel like there's still plenty of room for criticism. Some people don't like it because of where it was made and who made it. Some of them don't like the Chinese censorship involved. And all of that is very understandable. Yet Marvel Rivals is still sitting there, you know, still nearly hitting 500,000 players every single day. You can blame YouTubers and critics all you want, but I'm going to tell you this right now. If you think that YouTubers have the power to influence all this stuff, whatever, well, if that's really the way you feel, you better start appealing to them. Because if we're the ones who crushed Concord before it ever had a chance to succeed, you better start making games that we like. Now, I don't think that YouTubers talking about Concord and what a disaster was, I don't think that that was the main focus. I think that people tuned into those videos because they were thinking exactly the same thing about a piece of shit like Concord. But according to the dozens of former Concord players, that's the reason why it never had a chance and why Marvel Rivals is doing so well. Bitter and butthurt, at least you didn't pour months into the game. You only had a couple weeks of your time wasted before they shut that shit down. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.
Nice. Okay, next video.
Bat mods available.
Hat tip Asmongold. It's a short one.
Mods available for people to use in Marvel Rivals.
Fat mods. Now listen to me. Listen to me, my dear sailors of Star Nuts. If you're enjoying the stream, please like and subscribe. Or put a heart on that X stream. I fully support this. Do you remember when what game was it? It was some game that had some woke crap in it. I forget what it was. It might have been Starfield or something like that. But someone created a mod. Oh, I think that's what it was. I think it was Starfield. And I believe they created a mod that removed the pronouns. And so I think it was Bethesda banned the mod that was removing pronouns from the game. Right? Well, what's interesting to me is I fully support what I believe it should be the Wild West. Whatever mods people want to make, they should be allowed to make, and whatever, as long as it's not game breaking or, you know, there's like malware or something. As long as it's a legit mod, let it exist. So I'm totally fine with this. If the wokies want to be enjoyers of the plus size heroes, go for it, man. We're not going to ban that. But notice how we never get the same courtesy. Like if we try to make a mod removing pronouns because declaring pronouns is probably literally the dumbest idea in all of modern society. It's absurd and ridiculous. They won't extend us that courtesy.
Lunas, Jesus. Oh.
They've got Mantis is all chubby. She's all chubby.
God. Oh.
That Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl, who's already chubby, they make her a whale.
Oh, wow. This is hilarious, man. I had no idea they even had this. You know what they should do? They should do like a partnership. That's a good idea. They should do a partnership with Golden Corral, and then have like maybe like if you buy a buffet at Golden Corral, you can get one of these skins in game. Wouldn't this make the hitbox bigger? Because I feel like that'd cause some problems, right? Yeah, because I remember I played Gibraltar in Apex Legends. That caused me a lot of trouble. I kept getting God.
Oh man, that's so funny. Hat tip, RK Outpost, and Asmongold. Did I have anything in my bookmarks I wanted to go over? I do have a couple in here. Let me grab this one. No, not that one. Yeah, this one. This one, Mr. Producer. Share screen. I found this tweet very amusing. It's from Endymion. Quote, Domino's is nasty for this. And so you've got the Assassin's Creed Shadows, which has now been delayed. Ubisoft has delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows coming out. Why? Well, because there's just a giant backlash of this game. Because they culturally appropriated their rules, not mine. They culturally appropriated Japan's feudal medieval history, usurped it by placing a foreigner as a samurai, as the protagonist. But see, because it was a black foreigner, this was stunning and brave. This was cultural and diverse. This was good. This was a good thing. They stole Japan's own history. And everyone hates it. Everyone hates it. People have been wanting a Japanese Assassin's Creed forever. And they screwed the pooch big time. So they're delaying it. They're working on it, don't you know? But of course, this isn't going to solve the problem. This isn't going to solve the problem. Remove Yasuke completely. Rewrite it with a Japanese male as the samurai lord. That will fix it. That is the only way to fix it. There is no other way to fix it. They can't do that. They can't do that, folks, because they are woke wackos. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. So they're going to just do a bunch of little edits on the margins. You know, they're going to try to maybe add a Japanese samurai. They're going to try and play with it. It's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. This game is dead on arrival. So they write this article, right, to dear players, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to our incredible fans and dedicated teams for your unwavering support. We don't support you since our announcement in September to further refine and polish Assassin's Creed Shadows. Since November, we've been thrilled to share our progress through gameplay overviews and the overwhelming excitement. No, it hasn't. It's overwhelming backlash and hatred has truly inspired us. Each week has brought, every single one of these, close quote, every single one of these, they start by saying, in the middle of explaining why they've delayed the game because people hate it. In the middle of that, they always start out by saying, thank you for all the wonderful outpouring and gushing of support and love from our fans. They're such corporate liars. Everything they say is on rails. They can't say a single honest thing ever. No, I hate it. I hate corporate culture. It's gross. Open quote, each week has brought valuable feedback from our community. While we've already made remarkable strides, no, you haven't. We believe a few additional weeks are needed to implement that feedback and ensure an even more ambitious and engaging day one experience for just $79.99, not including upgrades and reskins for the characters. Accordingly, the new release date is March 20th, 2025, a day which will live in infamy. We remain committed to delivering a high-quality, immersive experience about a samurai that's not Japanese. By ongoing dialogue between our players and development teams. We know you're eager to learn more about Assassin's Creed. No, we're not. Shadows, and we're excited. No, you're not. To share that more updates will be coming your way very soon. Okay, so that's them saying we're deeply sorry for delaying this game because you love it so much. Now, this is what Domino's Pizza replied. Domino's Pizza quote tweeted them and said this: "Call us if you need help delivering on time." Oh, catastrophic damage. And indeed, it's like Domino's is nasty for doing that. Yes, they are. That was not nice at all. That was not nice at all. Now, on the subject of woke catastrophes failing in the video game industry, I'm going to double dip on the angriest man on the internet. Because he has a report. I believe this is true. Yes. He has a report on Veilguard. Share screen.
Just like so many other games we saw during 2024 that launched to a ton of backlash and ended up being massive disappointments. Or
Wrangler says, I'm going to lure Squirrel Girl in with a truckload of peanuts. Oh, you tell, Wrangler. That could work.
Just outright failures. Dragon Age the Veilguard definitely belongs in that category. A game that was championed by so many people in the gaming industry. Games media said, oh my gosh, it's just so incredible. I don't understand. I hate
this one really pisses me off because I loved Dragon Age Inquisition and I was excited for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which was the original title. And they turned it into a woke, lame, put a chicken at maker gay, just trash fire. R.I.P. Dragon Age. Dragon Age is dead. Mass Effect is headed for disaster. Like, it is full-blown headed for disaster.
Campaign behind this. Just don't listen to those people. Don't listen to those gamers. Don't listen to what they say. Go support Dragon Age the Veilguard. Didn't really work out too well for them. Because whether it's time naming Dragon Age the best game of 2024, or a myriad of other game journalists out there trying desperately to show support for this game to convince people to buy it, it hasn't really worked. Now,
I love how they're such, the media are such liars. They exist literally in opposition to gamers. They exist in opposition to what would be informative and interesting to gamers, that within their own headline, they admit the lie, right? Because it says Dragon Age the Veilguard is my third favorite game of the year. Okay, well, why don't you just leave it there? But no, it says, and I don't care who knows. Which is your way of admitting you care who knows, because you know it's trash, and you know you're a liar, and you're full of shit.
Have been BioWare.
Shill! You make me sick!
And the people behind Dragon Age the Veilguard, they've been very, very sketchy when it comes to talking about sales for this game. They didn't want to put out any numbers. They didn't want to talk about sales. All they wanted to talk about was how incredible it was that we even got this game released, and that any negativity, it's just due to a hate campaign, not about the actual problems with the game. Well, as we find out more and more, we realize that that's just a bunch of garbage. Dragon Age the Veilguard sells far lower than reported. Insider sets the record straight. And then we start finding actual tangible numbers from Europe, that Dragon Age the Veilguard sold significantly less in Europe than even a disappointing failure like Star Wars Outlaws did, right? You have more and more people coming out to speak the facts, because the trans game director behind this, all the activists at BioWare and EA that want to cover their asses for this game when really it's impossible to deny what a big failure it was, they're having people come out from the woodwork and say, no, in actuality, behind the scenes, this game is catastrophic and it's a failure for BioWare. And now
Crowbar says, Crowbar the Skull saying Domino's based. I think maybe. It's called We Do a Little Trolling.
Now we have this. The Steam charts. The Steam charts was obviously not the only place you can play this game. A lot of other places, but it might be indicative of how this game has performed compared to some others. Look at how bad this is for Dragon Age the Veilguard. Dragon Age the Veilguard in bottom half of Steam's top seller chart in 2024. Got beat by Hogwarts Legacy, Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy 14, and more. So yes.
That's impressive. It got beat by Hogwarts and Final Fantasy 14. Elder Scrolls Online beat Dragon Age the Veilguard. Elder Scrolls Online's been out for years. Years.
There are several games that didn't even come out this year that destroyed Dragon Age the Veilguard when it comes to sales. In Steam's Best of 2024 charts, the company organized video games based on a total gross revenue earned from January 1st to December 15th. It also separates the games into 4 different buckets: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. Inside these buckets, the games are randomly sorted. Dragon Age was placed in Steam's bronze bucket, meaning that at least 50 other games sold better than it, including Palworld, Destiny 2, Elden Ring, Helldivers 2, Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Baldur's Gate 3, Dota 2, Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2, Apex Legends, Counter-Strike 2, and PUBG Battlegrounds, which are in the platinum bucket. Now, not a surprise to anybody that those games would have outsold Dragon Age the Veilguard, right? I don't think that should be a surprise based on what we know from Steam. Other games that had higher grosses than Dragon Age include Warframe: The First Descendant, Cyberpunk 2077, Path of Exile, Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero, Throne and Liberty, which are all in the gold bucket. But even in the silver bucket here, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Dragon's Dogma 2, Rainbow Six Siege, I think that's spelled wrong, Rainbow Six Siege, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, sold more than Dragon Age the Veilguard this year. Red Dead Redemption 2, Hogwarts Legacy.
Red Dead Redemption 2, an older game, outsold Dragon Age the Veilguard.
This year, right? Not last year. Remember, that was released in February of 2023. That's when it had the vast majority of its sales. No, that sold better than Dragon Age the Veilguard. Manor Lords, Tekken 8, Fallout 76.
Which is trash! Fallout 76 is garbage! That's been out for years. Years. It did better than Dragon Age.
Final Fantasy 14, ESO, Grand Theft Auto 5, and others. Whenever you look at it, when you actually get some tangible data, whether it's from Europe, whether it's from a different chart like a Steam chart, everything runs counter to BioWare's narrative that, well, we don't want to talk about it. It's just a total and complete success, guys. I don't know what you're talking about. It's just a hate campaign, all the negativity about this game. This game is a follow-up to BioWare's, in their own words, their biggest game, right? When it comes to their biggest IP, in their words, which is Dragon Age, according to them, according to BioWare. So expectations were high for this. It's been in the works for like 7 or 8 years. Hundreds of millions of dollars spent on this. And just like we've seen in 2024, another game that when people saw a hint of DEI, when they saw the cringe gameplay, when they saw the transgender scars, when they saw the whole non-binary acceptance storyline as part of the plot, when they saw the Barv push-up scene for misgendering somebody, it was a joke. And people treated it like it was a joke. They stayed the fuck away. And Dragon Age the Veilguard, despite BioWare and the mainstream media trying to push a narrative, it is proven to be a catastrophic failure for them.
Hat tip the angriest man on the internet, Ryan Cannell. So that leads us to our next story. Returning to Ubisoft, hat tip bounding into comics. Ubisoft delays Assassin's Creed Shadows by another month in order to better incorporate the player feedback gathered over the past 3 months. Is there anything new on this one? Yeah, I think I read all that. I read their quote because I went to that Domino's tweet. Let me see if there's any other leads I wanted to cover in this. Yeah, they're basically just unfortunately because I pulled that X post. I basically already went over that. So cancel that, Mr. Producer. Cancel that. So yeah, so you have Ubisoft right? Delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows. And they're going to tinker on the margins, but they're not going to actually solve the real issue. The real issue is Yasuke. Yasuke is an inappropriate main character for the material. And he exists because of DEI obsessions. That's the only reason. So this leads me to the thesis of everything that we've discussed. I mean, basically what we're seeing here is an Eastern video game company in NetEase has given us Marvel Rivals, which is adapting the comic book characters in a way that is pleasing to comic book superhero fans, and it's having amazing success. They literally understand their Western audience better than Western gaming companies do. Meanwhile, Western gaming companies are failing in droves because they will not listen to what their own gamers are telling them. But the tide is turning, my friends. The party is almost over for these wackos, and I've got the proof of it because they are afraid of us. You and me, my dear sailors and starnauts, the vast audiences of channels like these that are criticizing them, they are living in fear of us. Mr. Producer, if you would share the video, hat tip critical drinker. Oops, wrong one. There it is.
Every so often I'll catch a news headline that just makes me chuckle, like this one from Bounding Into Comics.
Yeah, so the headline is Deliverance, Kingdom Come Deliverance series director claims that studios are really terrified of internet personalities like Asmongold and the Critical Drinker. If somebody starts to critique the game in the corporate world, it does have an impact.
Now, I have to admit, my first thought when I saw this headline was, wow, I'm in good company these days. My second thought was, nah, this is probably just some clickbait op-ed piece with no real basis in reality. Because believe it or not, such things have been known to exist on the internet, dear viewer. But apparently, it is real. The source for the article is an interview done by Dan Vavra, the director of the Kingdom Come Deliverance series, where he talked about the impact of online critics like myself, Asmongold, and others. And according to him, we're having a real impact on multiple AAA developers. Listen, I've even heard that they're really scared of hate-tubers. Let's say the kind of guys like the Critical Drinker, Asmongold, and others who started criticising big companies. And now I've found out from some people that companies are really terrified of them, and it's really having an impact. That when somebody starts to critique the game and the corporate world, that it does have an impact. That is right. I am become Drinker, the destroyer of studios. But fear not, dear peasant, for I am a merciful dictator, and require only a weekly tribute of gold and booze from my subjects. Well, that and a bit of prima nocte, but only if the bride happens to be hot. I shall be the judge of this, of course. Seriously though, before my ego gets inflated by all of this, I think the point that Dan's really making here is about more than just me, or Asmongold, or any one particular content creator, no matter how many views they might get. He's commenting instead on the shift that's happening across the entire industry and the way people get access to news and opinions now. A shift away from bloated dinosaur media outlets like Kotaku, IGN and Polygon, and towards independent creators working out of their bedrooms and basements. People who don't have professional production teams working to make their content look all slick and fancy, or insider access to high-profile games months before release, or exclusive interviews with industry professionals where they answer softball questions. Don't believe me? Well, take a look at IGN's YouTube page for a second. According to their sub count, they've got more than 18 million subscribers. That's almost 10 times what I've got on my main Critical Drinker channel. But then take a look at their actual view counts. Most of their videos can't even break 50,000 views. For a channel with such a massive subscriber base, those are the kinds of numbers that make Boogie look like a thriving, up-and-coming content creator. It's the same story with Eurogamer, a channel with more than 700 100,000 subscribers that rarely gets more than 20,000 views per video? Or how about social media? Well, head over to X and take a look at Kotaku's page. If their account is to be believed, then more than 2.5 million people follow them, but most of their posts get less than 30 likes. Basically, no one pays any attention to them now unless they post some obvious rage bait headline, and then the only people who engage with them are to mock and belittle them. IGN's got 10 million people following them, but do you know how many likes their average post gets? Less than 100. Jesus, I posted a picture of my dog and got like 15,000 likes on it. Who's a good critical doggo? Anyway, I could prattle on and on about this stuff, but the point I'm making here is that all of these gaming media outlets have become nothing but paper tigers now, superficially impressive and influential, but with no meaningful engagement or interest to back it up. Put simply, people just don't listen to what they have to say anymore. Partly because most of them have become very obviously biased in part of their coverage these days, and partly because there's no real authenticity to big companies like that. The people who write articles and make videos for them are doing it because they're paid to. Most of them don't really care about the game that they're covering, it's just another job, something to be completed as quickly and efficiently as possible so that they can move on to the next project. Not to mention the pressure that's always on them to never be too harsh or too critical, because if you do that, then you'll burn important bridges, and all the exclusive access and the industry interviews and the invites to fancy events will start to dry up. And we can't have that, can we? On the other hand, little Timmy working out of his basement with a microphone and a video capture card doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff. He doesn't have an editorial staff that need to be paid, or activists that need to be appeased, or industry relationships to worry about, or deadlines to meet. He can make reviews when he feels like it. He can go into as much or as little detail as he wants, and he can choose to talk about stuff that he actually cares about. And what's most important of all is that there's millions of him. Like, even if I personally spent all day every day making nothing but gaming content and ignored all my other channels, I couldn't even come close to keeping up with every new release or piece of news that's happening. But that doesn't matter because I don't have to. For every game I don't review because it doesn't interest me or I don't have enough time, there's hundreds of other channels out there who do. And that's the beauty of the new media landscape that's being created. It truly is a free market of ideas where people can pick and choose the creators that most align with them, and that being the case, those creators will go on to become quite successful. The shift towards independent creators really is a shift towards the collective power of fans speaking their own minds about the things that they personally care about. It's the passion of people talking about the things that they love, and that kind of passionate authenticity is going to trump some slick corporate media operation every single time. Honestly, I'm surprised it's taken this long for the switch to happen, but happen it has. And with most of these big gaming outlets laying off staff and downsizing now, the reality is as simple as it is unavoidable. We are the media now, all of us. So enjoy it, because I think it's going to be a pretty fun ride. Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Hat tip critical drinker, an excellent analysis. As per, the fact of the matter is, we have, as I promised you on this very channel, something like 100 episodes ago, maybe, we will, that is us, the customer, the fan, the consumer, we will inflict defeat after defeat after defeat. And we have. With our wallets. We have completely rendered irrelevant the game's media. We have brought, think of all of the AAA games with hundreds of millions of dollars behind them. Star Wars Outlaws, Concord, Dustborn, Dragon Age, The Veil Guard, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. We've absolutely destroyed those games by simply saying we don't want to play them. And now our voices on the internet eclipse even those of the legacy media, the approved, pedigreed members of the intellectual class. And they fear us, chat. They fear us. Well, they ain't seen nothing yet, because
we shall defend our island whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender!
It never gets old, does it? It never gets old. Sir Winston Churchill, we shall never surrender. We will not surrender Warhammer 40,000. We will not surrender our remaining IPs. We will not surrender our old IPs. We will fight everywhere wokeness is found, everywhere this cultural rot of DEI tries to make inroads. Every single game, every single show, film, comic book, we will push back. We will fight back. We will not rest until this ideology trembles in fear before ever attempting to IP mine something that we care about. There is a culture war, and what is our island? Our island is the things we love, the things for which there is nothing wrong. There is nothing about Tolkien that needs fixing. There is nothing about Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek that's problematic. There is nothing about Doctor Who that needs to be revised for a modern audience. There is nothing about Lara Croft or Samus Aran or Red Sonja that is male gazy and wrong and needs to be stopped. No such thing is true. No such thing ever will be. Our beloved stories, our beloved games, our beloved books, they are just fine the way they are, and they will stay the way they are because we will not rest until every scrap of wokeness is defeated. Utterly, totally, unconditionally. So to the AAA gaming studios, make your next woke dumpster fire. It'll go down to defeat just like all the rest. All right, my dear sailors and starnauts, we're going to do a quick break here in just a second. Anthony Timmons says, we will not surrender our ideals, and we won't. Okay, Captain needs a quick break, and then I will be right back. Mr. Producer, if you would. Yes, that's the one I need. Okay, cool. Be right back. That's right, we are back here on the Captain's Cast live on a Sunday. I am your host, Captain Garrett, of the Swords and Starships channel. We got lots more of the stack of stuff. We have shills. I have shills for you. We're going to talk a little bit about Skeleton Crew, too. I know. Nobody's really talking about the show. I mean, why would they? But not a lot. I have some thoughts on it. But, you know, in addition to critiquing fiction, I actually am an artist myself. A writer of fiction, an author, although not of the approved intellectual class. And I have also written a book. This video is sponsored by the High Seas action-adventure novel Blood and Oak, by me, Captain Garrett. Here's the story. When his sister is kidnapped and sold into slavery by the Barbary pirates, a daring young Navy officer embarks on a suicidal quest for rescue and revenge. This is a story of bloody naval warfare, set during the age of fighting sail, with ruthless rogues, smugglers, cutthroats, and pirates, with deadly sword fights, and tall ships slugging it out with cannons. Available now in Kindle, print, and audiobook. Go to www.bloodanoak.com. And when you get there, there's a free special gift waiting for you from me. Get your copy now. The link is back to me. That's right. That is Blood and Oak. Check it out. bloodanoak.com. You can also search Blood and Oak on Amazon to find it. And we have shills. We have shills to talk about. Because there is a type of fan who actually enjoys games like Concord and enjoys games like Dustborn and enjoys everything Disney Star Wars makes. They don't enjoy Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, though. They vanish like cockroaches into the night for Rebel Moon. But when it's Disney and they think there's clout to be had, then the shills have a lot to say. And they're very mad. See, they're very mad about toxic fandom. They're like the little herds of sheep on Reddit, you know? They want everything to be docile and placid and just anodyne. And everybody just agrees, and we nibble at disagreement here and there, but always with the caveat that but I still like it and it's okay. They think that we should just eat slop and that's it. We should just accept the slop. Well, I won't have it. They suffer from a terrible disease. It's called shillery by proxy. It's debilitating. It renders them a terrible quality of life. And there is a man who studies their disease, shillery by proxy. His name is Mr. Grizzy. He studies the shill to understand what makes them tick. So that one day we might cure their disease and welcome them back into the ranks of regular humans. But until that day, for their own good, we will mock them mercilessly and tirelessly. Mr. Producer, please, if you would, share screen.
Forcing something, and I think I just am very fortunate to have a really real enthusiasm for a subject matter. People find it engaging because they can...
What? I am very fortunate to have a very real, authentic enthusiasm for a subject matter. Oh my God! God, it's like, I'm like reliving my life in corporate America. Just the constant pressure for everything to just be safe. Just the clinical way, the sterile way that people talk about things in a corporate world by necessity. But I hate it. I hate it. I want to climb the walls when I'm in this environment. This just reminds me of that. I'm very fortunate to have enthusiasm about a subject matter. Really? Is that rare in humans? Literally every human being on the planet has an enthusiasm about a subject matter. Every human being on the planet. If you can believe it, Kyle Katarn, I know this is what's really going to bake your noodle. There's even people on the planet, a lot of them, in fact, that have multiple subjects that they're enthusiastic about. Have you heard of this? He's acting like being enthusiastic about Disney Star Wars is a superpower. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Something. And
One more time. I cannot believe this sentence. I can't believe this sentence.
I just am very fortunate to have a really real enthusiasm for a subject matter. People find it engaging because they can tell that I actually am getting really excited about something, and I have very
I have a really real I'm very fortunate to have a really real just stop. Yeah. Shakespeare famously said, brevity is the soul of wit. Brevity is the soul of wit. Why is it that in our modern civilization, we add words that are unnecessary to everything? Everything. Just say I love Star Wars. Just say that. I'm very enthusiastic about Star Wars. Just say that. Why do you say it in this circuitous, odd, vague, roundabout way? I am just very fortunate to have an enthusiasm, a really real enthusiasm about a thing. What? Why do we talk this way in our modern society? Because everything has been corporate sterilized. Makes me sick. In fact, there was this Asmod Gold clip that I saw. Do I have this, Mr. Producer? I know I saved this. It might not be this one. I just have to check real quick. Is it this one? No, that's not it. That's not it. I got to think about this for a second. What was it? It was about... Oh, yes. It was about games and how modern games, they sort of have this like millennial humor around everything, and it just makes things more verbose. It makes things more... seeing if I can find this video. Yeah, no, that's not it. He's got a lot of videos here. No. You know what? I bet the word millennial will find it, Mr. Producer. Millennial? Will that find it? There it is. I think I got it. How millennials ruined video games. Yes, this is it. This is it. I think I got it. It's worth it, chat. It's worth it. Okay, here we go. I was even able to scrub the video and find what I'm looking for. Okay. Share this tab for a second, just to illustrate what I mean. Okay, hat tip, Asmod Gold TV. Okay, so he's reacting to a video essay, which is positing that millennials, specifically the way millennials write characters in video games, has destroyed them because they write things as being overly verbose. Everything is socially awkward. This is exactly how this new Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show is. Same deal. They think it's funny when people are awkward and ironic about everything. So this is his example that he gives in this video. Okay, roll tape.
And if you have no clue what I'm talking about, don't worry. It's nonsense anyway. I think there's this famous post that pretty excellently sums up Borderlands writing. They can't go one line without stuffing it full of ironic observation as their form of jokes.
So Borderlands can't go one line without stuffing it full of what they consider jokes.
The normal line would be like, if you can get some fuel canisters, then I can reactivate the main generator and get our shields back up. I mark the objective on your map. Versus...
Right. So that's what a normal line would be in a video game. Hey, if you can get the fuel canisters activated, we can we can get the shields back up. I'm going to mark your map. But a modern, dumb millennial in video game would write it this way.
The Gearbox line. Hey, buddy. Great job killing those mutants and all. You're really good at that. Shooting things, that is. One problemo, though. As it turns out, a bunch of monsters on this planet are gonna terrorize that if we don't get the shield back up. And this is just my opinion, but that's gonna suck. Not having eyes sounds terrible. Like, how am I supposed to read my collection of bodacious space babes without any flippin' eyeballs? So...
Am I right about 34-year-olds that were never cool?
That's Asmod's theory. These are 34-year-olds that were never cool trying to be cool.
I like 100% man. Yep.
Here's my brilliant plan
Right
that I got
here.
written on this here napkin. I won't go on.
No, okay, I will. I will read the rest of this. Okay? So we basically, so the line of dialogue in a normal game would be, hey, we have a problem. You need to get these canisters reactivated to get the shields back up. I'll mark your map. But instead it turns into, so here's my brilliant plan that I've got written on this here napkin. There's this generator thing. You following me? And it needs gas. Who knew? So maybe you can go out and fetch some canisters. And then we can get the generator running. And then that will go back up. And we won't get horribly, terribly murdered. Doesn't that sound great? I know, right? So, since I did most of the work coming up with the plan, I was thinking, you can do the last step and get the canisters. If you see any monsters, shoot them in the face or something. Oh, that is so classic. That is so classic modern games. Oh, and one more tip, not to get killed. That'll put a real wrench in this plan. Metaphorically, that is, not literally. I hate people who misuse the term literally. It drives me figuratively insane. Anyway, I'll just be here cowering in my bunker while you do that. Go Team Badass. Oh my God, it's so insufferable. That's what I'm talking about. This is how modern millennials talk. It's how they write. It's just shit. It kind of reminds me of what the hell was it I was watching? Fallout. The Fallout TV show kind of reminds me of this. It's like everything's got to be sort of cute and ironic and sarcastic, and it's like, just make it about the show. Just make it about what's going on. Anyway, roll tape.
Strong reactions to certain things.
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Katarn claims that his Disney Star Wars reactions are genuine.
Wait, what? Let's fucking go! Was a typical philosophy for when conducting myself online, because I really am putting myself into a microscope, is to be authentic and to just be honest. Because if I try to manufacture a point of view that's not really what I have, it's exhausting to maintain that.
Not when you're faking your reactions, Katarn. Remember when you watched the Acolyte episode 1 on your channel for the 4th time?
This is, well, Bendu's second time seeing it. This will be my 4th time watching the first episode of The Acolyte.
And you reacted to it as if you had never seen it before?
Yes, first lightsaber ignition of the series. Ooh, Zygerian. Live action Zygerian. The pilots turned back into fucking chairs.
If I try to...
Wow. Wow. You know what's funny is I was actually inclined to give Kyle Katarn the benefit of the doubt, but Grizzy has totally convinced me. He's totally convinced me. He brought the evidence. The guy flat out said, this is my 4th time watching it, and he's reacting with surprise. Oh my God.
What
was that in the chat? I saw something in the chat. Crowbar the Skull says, I'm convinced the only Star Wars fans left are the Shills. That's right. The party is over. All that's left are the Shills. And, you know, they're increasingly aware, Crowbar, that they're not actually talking to anyone anymore, which is why they're having these kind of odd, like, telling on themselves podcast interviews where they're waxing philosophical about, like, authenticity and how they really, really believe they really, really are authentic. And it's like, why are they talking about? Because they sense the party's over. They sense the party's over and they're scrambling. Fu Man Blue says, but they all love the Star Wars. They love all the Star Wars. Redout Production says Grizzy is unaware he has a captain as his hype man. He is. He is blissfully unaware that the captain is a great enjoyer of his work, and I am. It's just too funny. If anyone knows other funny YouTube channels, send them my way. I'll play them. I just, I look for funny content. I would do more Asmongold because his content does crack me up, but his videos are like 40 to 50 minutes long, typically. Anthony says, I hate to say bad things about people, but Kyle Katarn is a bitch. Well, he is. Crowbar the Skull says, I've seen more enthusiasm for a dentist appointment. It's just so weird, man. It's so weird to just say, I am very fortunate human because I am blessed with a great enthusiasm about a thing. What? That's how Mark Zuckerberg talks. That's how a lizard person talks. Just say you love Star Wars, Shell. Just say it. What's so hard about that? Dude, do I ever have to say about Godzilla -1, I'm just very blessed to have a great enthusiasm about this topic. What? Fu Man Blue says, I don't think Kyle knows what authentic actually means. If he said this is a reenactment of my reaction, that would be one thing. That's true. He could say that. He could say, I mean, it'd be kind of weird, but I'm going to reenact my excitement of this for you. You know what's funny is like when I want to share with you my honest reaction to something, I don't watch it. I put it in the stack of stuff and I avoid it. I literally will skip through, like, if it's the Nooner or something and they're reacting, I'll skip through that part because I want you to see my reaction to it. Like the Snow White trailer. That was a good one. That was a really good one because I wasn't prepared for how bad it was. So yeah, if I wanted you to see my first reaction, that's what I would do. Wrangler says, gotta go. Have a good one. Have a good one, Wrangler. Good to see you. There he goes. Crowbar says, Dr. Disaster has some pretty good takes, and he's an admiral. Admiral in the service. Anthony saying, root canal, anyone? Roll tape!
Facture a point of view that's not really what I have. It's exhausting to maintain that.
Jedi. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Fake.
I'd say just be honest and be kind. Don't misrepresent yourself. Because people will always come with the receipts.
Oh, yeah, it's... Jeez. This guy is literally telling on himself. But I always be kind. Be kind, especially when you're accusing everyone who doesn't like the Acolyte of being bigots, misogynists, and Nazis. Be kind. Is that kind, Kyle Katarn? Is that what you do? Is that what you're... God, I fucking hate wacko leftists. They're such hypocrites. You're not kind. You're insufferable, vicious, nasty people. Just own it, man. Just own it. Be what you are. Stop apologizing. Stop pretending that you're kind, compassionate people. You're not. In addition to being liars and wackos, you're rude. You're rude. Stop acting like you're kind and compassionate. That's the most insufferable thing about wokeness, is that it walks around telling everyone how kind and loving it is, while seeking the ruin, defamation, and destruction of its fellow human beings. Detestable. It makes me sick.
Yes, like I've been doing this entire video, and here's another receipt. Proof that all this hype for Disney Star Wars is about getting your Disney Shill access and a possible payment.
And the channel has benefited from it to the point where now I do this full time. And I'm loving it, honestly. It's a really fulfilling and creative way to support yourself, I think.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Anthony Timmons saying, you forgot incompetent, Captain. They are not kind. They are incompetent. Well, I don't know. Maybe he's a competent YouTuber. I suppose I'd give him that. But their ideas are certainly incompetent. They don't get results. But honest to God, what? It's just bizarre. It's just bizarre to me. They can't admit that Disney Star Wars sucks, because if they admit that, it means that their ideas suck. It means wokeness sucks. It means the chuds are correct about anything. And they can't accept that. They can't live in a world where that's true. They're the ones that divide the fandom, not us. We allow their opinions. I don't mean allow as in like we're sitting on a throne allowing it. I mean, we allow that they have different opinions. And we make fun of them. And we're honest about that. And they can make fun of us. And that's fine. They're the ones that want censorship. They're the ones that want all that crap.
And as always, when these Disney shows get together, it always devolves into whining about the toxic Star Wars fandom.
Yeah, get ready. This is kindness in action. This is a kind man who is being kind to his fellow Star Wars audience.
I think that Star Wars has been unfairly sucked into a culture war that it has nothing to do with, frankly.
And we all know how that culture war started. Disney inserted their propaganda into Star Wars and then attacked fans for not liking it. But fake news Kyle Katarn here claims that it was actually Orange Man's fault for the culture war in Star Wars.
I think 2017 is hot off the heels of another year that was very changing the landscape politically and socially and culturally, and that's 2016 when things happened.
Well, hate to break it to you, Katarn, but things happened again.
I think that
Yes! Don't you dare blame this on Donald Trump. Don't you dare, you little twit. Listen to me, you little twit. Donald Trump did not do this to the culture. We who voted for him did this to the culture. Don't get it twisted. 74 million of us did this. Not one man. This is the most maddening thing about the Orange Man argument to me. They act like the Orange Man is a single anomalous human being that has suddenly upended everything. No, you idiot. Tens of millions of us did that. We did that. You got an issue, you take it up with us, Mr. Katarn. The Orange Man is who we have chosen to lead that movement against wackos like you.
has a direct correlation to the way Star Wars suddenly had to be manly men for men, and like women had to be a certain way, and if a woman is empowered,
as opposed to effeminate bitches like you,
on the screen she's a Mary Sue, and like everything is now pandering and woke
and calling Disney Star Wars
because they act as if they have not participated. You are fighting this culture war, you little shit. God, they're such liars. That's so fake all the time. Oh, this is a culture war. Star Wars has nothing to do with it. What are you talking about? You assholes are on your channels every single day talking about how bigoted things are and how stunning and brave that they're using pronouns in Star Wars now. As if you had no part in any of this. Quite frankly, the culture war is the only reason that you idiots still claim Disney Star Wars is good. It's the only reason. There's no other reason you're still clinging to this fantasy.
Pandering and woke triggers you, yes.
Well, I suppose it's either that or you have bad taste. But then again, two things can be true at the same time.
We know, but nobody is saying that you can't have women, strong women, in Star Wars. All we're saying is that the majority of Star Wars fans are men. It's a fact. And trying to change that and turn Star Wars into a girl brand is obviously going to fail. And pointing that out triggers the hell out of these people because they don't care about facts. All they care about is their feelings.
Now it's suddenly urgently important for everyone to talk about why it's not manly anymore. Why it's no Star Wars is for girls now. Why like the Force is female? First of all, that was a Nike ad.
I don't agree with that characterization at all. It's not for men and it's not for girls either. It's for nobody because it's trash. It's trash because idiots like you prop it up when it doesn't deserve it.
But secondly, like, why did that enrage people? Why are we so upset about things? It's fake and in space. It doesn't stop me from loving it for 30 years.
Wow. Okay, a lot to unpack here. First, did he just defend the infamous Kathleen Kennedy Force is female photo?
No, Star Wars is for girls now. Why? Like, the Force is female? First of all, that was a Nike ad.
That is a lie, Katarn. That photo was taken at the Archer Film Festival 2017, where Kathleen Kennedy literally said, and I quote, "These are all jobs that women can do. They just need to be given a chance. So do or do not. There is no try. The Force is female." This was not a Nike ad, Katarn, and you can see if you look closely that it does say Archer Film Festival in the background.
What an idiot.
You gotta be careful coming on YouTube and lying, Katarn, because as you said...
Because people will always come with the receipts.
Now don't worry, you guys, I did not forget about the other thing he said.
Why did that enrage people? Why are we so upset about things? It's fake and in space. It doesn't stop me from loving it for 30 years.
Star Wars is fake and in space. It's the same argument as it's space wizards and laser swords, right? That we hear from these people all the time. The reason real fans get upset, Katarn, is because we love these movies. We love this universe. We love these characters. And for someone else to come in here and shit all over it just because we need to push our characters, our brand, our shitty streaming service, our political agendas, that pisses people off. And you can use this very same argument against them. If Star Wars is just...
It's fake and in space.
Then why do you get so triggered when people criticize it that you falsely label people racist in order to try and cancel them and get their...
Right there. What did I say earlier in the video? That these are the assholes that want people censored, deplatformed, and ruined. They are preaching kindness while undertaking to ruin their fellow creators. And here's the evidence right here from his own tweet. Kyle Katarn, it's time for you to be part of the solution at Team YouTube. While you continue to allow these channels to be monetized, you are incentivizing hatred and racism. Close quote. The man literally attempting to incite YouTube to demonetize his fellow creatives. Hypocrites, liars, frauds are the Shills.
YouTube channels demonetized.
What a bitch.
People need to be more like you, right? Positive and not a gwifta.
Yeah, it's like...
be kind. Be kind. Oh, I just want to puke every time I hear a stupid Gen Z millennial or wokey just say, be kind. Oh, I just want to puke.
I'm a Star Wars YouTuber. Oh, do you rail about Kathleen Kennedy with tinfoil on your head? It's like, no, not that kind. I'm not a grifter, all right?
You're a bitch.
You have to talk about why things are objectively bad. It's like, well, it's not what you wanted. And that's valid and that's fair. Doesn't make it objectively bad.
Okay, so for example, Luke throwing his father's lightsaber away is not objectively bad.
In the theater, I loved it.
It's just not what the toxic fans wanted. Okay, got it. All right, anything else, Katarn, before we get on out of here?
I don't know, people balk at the expression, but I think this is the best time to be a Star Wars fan.
Oh my God.
No, Katarn, this is the best time ever to rip on Disney Star Wars. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.
A man, a legend is Grizzy. Mr. Producer. I give them too much credit, Anthony. Perhaps. Crowbar the Skull says, we're not afraid of their free speech because the truth is on our side. And well, I would say, and in addition to that, I'm not afraid of free speech because I believe in it. I just do. Only the tyrant fears speech. Crowbar the Skull says it is a culture war, and they started it, but we shall never surrender, and we shall finish it. Crowbar. We shall finish it. We are finishing it. Holy shit, dude, wokeness is getting wrecked. It is getting wrecked right now. It's just Mark Zuckerberg is. You should have seen the loons crying about. Oh no, Mark Zuckerberg's gonna let trans hate back on Facebook. They're all mad about it because now Zuckerberg, the lizard person, has changed his skin once again and is now. Oh, we're gonna restore free speech to Facebook. He would have been saying the exact reverse opposite if Kamala, is that the respectful pronunciation? I think so. If Kamala had won, he would have been saying the exact opposite. But never mind, we'll take the win. He bent the knee to we the people, and that's all that is required. Only your obedience is required, Mark Zuckerberg, not your belief. So as long as he behaves himself and obeys, that's good enough for me. But that being said, they're all big mad because they're like, you know what, though? Free speech is just more fun. Life would be boring if the only people that could speak are people that agreed with me. Who would I argue with? That would be boring. Hell, the odd troll comes into my chat and I have more fun. I have fun arguing with someone that's not even worth arguing with. They're not even smart enough to argue with, and I still argue with them. It's like, because, you know, it's practice, you know, that's what they say. Now, I have not, yes, and now for something completely different. Now for something totally different, chat, as Monty Python used to say. I'm an enjoyer of this.
Being a savage again? What's this?
What's up, California? My name is Alex. What's up, Aiden? I'm Oliver. I'm Brian. I'm Dylan. And together we are
gay as fuck. You guys are gay as fuck. Anyways, we've been making signage for more than 14 years. Any size can be customized with 3 years warranty. UNC. Turnover time is 20 days. Click the link in our bio for free quote.
More.
Tony's at it again. What's this?
Hello. Goodbye. Anyways, if you want to start a business on a budget, make sure you go to the Source Factory. Reliable quality.
Oh, man.
This is the biggest I've ever seen in real life, but this is fine. It's completely fine.
Yes, I know. Because we've been making signage for more than 14 years.
And what's the...
I really love... I love how Tony has a half Asian, half Southern American accent. It's the best thing. He sounds like an old school, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, the guy used to sell ShamWow or whatever, you know? It's amazing.
This daily dose of Tony.
So I got served today
God.
at the pharmacy, and
Sir, here's how to tell if your LED sign is cheap, sir. If the light burns out...
and I got served today at the pharmacy.
It's the best one. Oh, this is the best one. Sir!
This daily dose of Tony.
So I got served today at the pharmacy, and
Sir, here's how to tell if your LED sign is cheap, sir. If the light burns out quickly, it might be using cheap LED, sir. In order to reduce the cost with the warranty list of well-roasted...
I'm gonna be real, like, I would assume somebody with facial hair is a sir. Like, I'm sorry. We gonna go back to
Good
basics here?
God.
No tricks, no
This
lies,
guy again,
just
yeah.
cost-effective.
Yeah, where one's made, yeah, he just goes and says it, man. Like, I would look at this person and say, this person's a cross-dresser. Because, like, there are plenty of guys that like wearing women's clothes. I mean, that doesn't mean that you're trans. That's totally different.
Hello. Goodbye. Anyway...
Oh, man. I'm a big enjoyer of Tony. Sir! Oh my god, I just... You know, I couldn't do it in real life, you know? Because it would create kind of like a situation. But I would be tempted if I saw that creature walking around and just was like, I am not a sir. Sir! Calm down, sir! Tony is he's a credit. He's a credit to his generation. Okay, why don't we check out the 28 Years Later trailer? I haven't seen this yet. I've been hearing about it. I think I might watch 28 Days Later tonight to get caught up. I don't know. I guess I just never was... I just assumed it wasn't going to necessarily be that good. 28 Days Later. So, because wait, no. I have this wrong. 28 Days Later was the first one, which I did see. 28 Weeks Later was the sequel. This is the third one, 28 Years Later, I believe. Roll tape, Mr. Producer.
Auntie, what's going on? Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from this spot.
Seven, 6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boot, 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 moving up and down again.
You know what's kind of intriguing about this? The first film implied that the epidemic was ending. It implied that the zombies were kind of dying out and that the government was coming in to clean things up. That's the impression I got from the end of 28 Days Later. The film that gave us Cillian Murphy, one of the greatest actors ever. Cillian Murphy is like one of my absolute all-time favorites. I'm going to have to watch 28 Weeks Later to see, like, how that continued.
There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 boot. Moving up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. If your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boot, 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 boot. Moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Cry, to think of something different. Oh, God, keep me from going lunatic. Boom, moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11, 5, 4, 17, 32 the day.
Well, that was proper terrifying. I mean, that was terrifying. Oh, man. Wow. What the hell is that, like... What the hell is that voiceover? Is that, like, some World War II broadcast that they've recreated or something? I've just... What even is that? One can't deny the sense of ambience and... mise en scène that it creates in the trailer. I have to admit, it looks pretty good. Alex Garland is very, very good at action set pieces that are gritty and like deeply primal in terms of how they play out. Like primal as in like they trigger the human lizard brain, and they look like absolute reality. Like, they look like absolute reality. I mean, this was the one thing in the film Civil War that was really good, was the action sequences. Problem was there's absolutely no story to go with it. But, you know, whatever. What was it? Crowbar says, I've seen both, and they're all right. Not the best zombie flicks I've ever watched. That was basically my impression of the first one. You know, I wasn't super wild about it. I mean, I'm kind of not wild about zombies on a good day. I think after Walking Dead, I pretty much had my fill of zombie stories. I'm not really interested in anymore. So that's kind of why I'm not like super into this series. However, also I found the concept of the actual plague, like it infects you and 30 seconds later you're this crazy zombie. That always struck me as a bit unbelievable. So there's that. Fu Man Blue says, if the government was responsible for cleaning up after 28 days, this makes sense. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. Anthony says, I like World War Z better. You know what's fascinating about that movie, Anthony, is World War Z, the book. I actually read it. Well, I didn't read it. I listened to it on Audible. Fully voiced, full audio production with a bunch of A-list actors in it. It's the actual book, World War Z, is a series of vignettes told by the different POVs of different people that were part of it. It's kind of like you're listening to the journals and the eyewitness accounts of people that lived through the titular World War Z. And some of them are like helicopter pilots, some are like doctors, some are just average people that were trying to escape, that sort of thing. And it's very different than the film. The film is very much, well, the way the zombies move in the film is like this kind of terrifying wall of human flesh coming at you. And in the book, they're very much more like the Walking Dead zombies. They're much more like that. So it's very interesting. The book was really way different than the movie. And I don't recall loving the movie a heck of a lot. I just don't. Like I said, zombies are a tough sell. They're a tough sell for me. Like, everyone loves that movie Zombieland, and I didn't really care for it. I did like the movie Nosferatu. I'm curious what the critical drinker thought of Nosferatu. I haven't seen his review yet. So I thought we could watch it together, my dear chap. Share screen, Mr. Producer.
It would be no exaggeration to say that Robert Eggers is one of the most interesting, capable, and visually gifted directors.
Fu Man Blue saying, I love World War Z. Well, more power to you. More power. The book was pretty good. I did enjoy that a lot.
Working in Hollywood today, and probably the only creative that I get genuinely excited about seeing new movies from. Such is the case with Nosferatu, a remake of the classic 1922 silent movie of the same name, which itself was a kind of unofficial knockoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Nice to see some things have never changed in the movie business. Anyway, the hype around this movie's been steadily building for months now. The trailer got everyone talking and speculating, and with the film finally out on Christmas Day of all times, it's time to stop speculating, strap on our big boy pants, and find out if Eggers can deliver the goods.
Well, we're waiting.
Well, yes he can. Nosferatu is a vampire movie quite unlike any other, doing for bloodsuckers what The Witch did for women inclined toward pointy hats and flying broomsticks. It actually makes them
And I love The Witch. That's a great film.
Scary and dangerous and alien again, bringing together a superb cast who all deliver excellent performances, a brooding and intense atmosphere, gorgeous cinematography, and a less is more approach to the monster itself that's a welcome relief after years of exhausting CGI overloads.
You know, that is an excellent point, and I totally agree. Like, I am so tired of these CGI monsters that are screeching and howling, and they're climbing on the walls, and they're doing all this shit. And, you know, it's like the Billy Bob Thornton line in Bad Santa. You really need all that shit? Whereas this film builds the dread and the terror by what you don't see. And that's actually pretty brilliant. And I enjoyed a lot of that. I did love the way the editing was used to imply the way Count Orlok is sort of mind controlling people. That was a really cool element of the film. The period is recreated gloriously. The cinematography is a dream in this. It's really awesome. If you love early 19th century like atmosphere, it's like second to none.
In short, it's a brilliant example of true gothic horror adapted smartly with the benefit of modern technology, but never losing the essence of what made the original so fascinating and influential. The plot follows the story of the original movie pretty closely, and because Universal Pictures are fucking assholes when it comes to copyright, I'm mostly going to be using footage from the 1922 version to illustrate my points. Also because it looks really cool. Anyway, with that in mind, grab your wooden stakes and holy water and let's begin, shall we? The story follows Ellen and Thomas Hutzer, a married couple living in Germany in the mid-19th century. Hoping to advance his career as a real estate agent, Thomas takes on the job of selling an old castle to a reclusive aristocrat named Count Orlok, who just so happens to live in Transylvania. And yes, I think you can see where this one's going. Ellen really doesn't want him to go because she's got a bad feeling about this, but Thomas is like, nah, it'll be fine. But funnily enough, it isn't fine. The local villagers in Transylvania are about as welcoming as a working man's club in Glasgow, and Orlok himself turns out to be a terrifying, barely human monster man that inspires absolute dread in anyone who sees him. Again, much like a working man's club in Glasgow. Anyway, when Orlok sees a picture of Ellen in Thomas's locket, he decides he wants a bit of that action and imprisons Thomas in his castle to feed on him. Eventually though, Thomas manages to escape and the race is on to get back to Ellen before Orlok does. But will Thomas be able to save his wife and put an end to Orlok once and for all? And does a mysterious scientist and self-proclaimed vampire hunter hold the key to killing the monster? I'm not going to say any more about the story because I really want people to go and see this movie for themselves. What I will say though is if you don't want to know what happens, then don't watch or read about the original version because it does adhere pretty closely to the events of that film. You have been warned. Now, I said before that one of Egger's biggest accomplishments with this movie is to present a genuinely dark and disturbing take on what's become a pretty played out Hollywood movie monster at this point. Because
I'll definitely agree with that. Like, it was, you know, I think I was saying for our Warhammer fans, if like Edward in Twilight is the vampire equivalent of like a Slaanesh creature, if your typical Dracula is like a Tzeentch servant, this version of the vampire is Father Nurgle all the way. Father Nurgle being the father of disease, decay, and rot, who wishes to give you his blessings.
Let's be honest, vampires have been played as everything from tragic romantic figures brooding on lost loves, to goofy and campy joke characters, to wisecracking heartthrobs that are so human they might as well just be regular people. Look man, I love Buffy as much as the next person, but one thing you can't accuse that show of is being fucking scary. Anyway, Nosferatu takes a very different approach. Count Orlok isn't some tragically misunderstood anti-hero looking for love and redemption. He's a creature of pure and total evil and malice, whose only goal is to feed and consume and destroy everything in his path. You don't even get a proper look.
You know, it's pretty rad when you put it that way. It's pretty rad when you put it that way.
At him at first. He's just this shadowy, menacing presence who always manages to keep himself just out of focus, just out of the light, just out of view. A monster you catch at the corner of your eye, but you can never quite focus.
Dude, that shot in the movie is so awesome. It is when his shadow of his hand is just reaching over the city. Oh, that was so cool.
Focus on. And credit to Bill Skarsgård for his work on this one. Not only did he probably have to sit through hours of prosthetics every day, but the guy does things with his voice that shouldn't even be possible. God knows what his vocal cords looked like after he was done with this movie, but it must have been rough. It's actually quite funny when I think about it, that he's gone from one of the worst movies of the year to one of the best in the space of just a couple of months. Nicholas Hoult, on the other hand, is having the year of his fucking life, starring in Nosferatu and then playing Lex Luthor in Superman next July. Here, though, he's...
Which I'm very excited about.
perfect as Thomas, a well-meaning man caught up in events far beyond his understanding, trying to rationalize and understand an enemy that simply defies rationality. Willem Dafoe can elevate pretty much any movie that he's part of, and he seems to be a real favourite of Eggers, who always manages to bring out the best in him, and well, Nosferatu is no exception. Professor von Franz is clearly based very heavily on Van Helsing from Dracula, but Dafoe invests him with such intensity and surprising little touches of humour that you can't help but warm to the guy. It's always nice to see Ralph Ineson as well. He was fucking superb in The Witch, and he puts in a solid turn here as the Doctor trying to help Ellen. Another rational man trying to fight the supernatural with science and reason and coming up short. In terms of cinematography, soundtrack and direction, Nosferatu is an absolute treat. The soundtrack especially helps to create a dark, disturbing mood that just soaks into you the longer the movie goes on. Eggers has always been a strong visual director, willing to experiment and do the unconventional, and you can definitely see and feel the classic horror movie influences on this one. By all account, this was a passion project almost a decade in the making, a film that Eggers made because he cared deeply about the material and he had a story he really wanted to tell, instead of some corporatized sludge churned out to retain IP rights or fill a release slot. And well, it shows through in pretty much every aspect. And I really want to see more movies like this. Movies made by people with talent and skill who actually care about telling good stories. And if you're
And vision. And vision.
in the mood for a suitably spooky take on an old classic to round out your year, then the drinker heartily recommends Nosferatu. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, that's a pretty... You know, he's kind of selling me on the things I didn't quite like about the film right there, because, like, one of the things I kind of was a little bit lukewarm to was how Count Orlok was such a demon right from the beginning. I kind of expected him to try to fool the main character a little bit, and instead he's just right off the bat, it's like, oh, this is a demon. Like, that's bad. That's really bad. Yeah, that's what he is. That's what he is. If you see him, it's already over. I mean, I guess that's what I kind of misread the film a little bit now that I think about it. I feel like I would enjoy it much more the second time around now, because I think that's really the key. If you are even in his presence, it's already over. There's nothing you're going to do. He's so powerful. He has such a sway over the human mind. He's so relentless and all-consuming evil that you're already in his web. There's no way you're getting out of it. Like, it's already over for you. So he doesn't have to fool you. He doesn't have to lure you into a false sense of security, because it's too late already. I think that's the proper reading of the character, and the more I think about it in those terms, the more I like it. The more I really like it, actually. So I honest to God, I had no clue that was Nick. What was it? Bill Skarsgård. I had no clue that was Bill Skarsgård when I was watching it. That's how well, like, he's cloaked in shadow. His voice is so creepy and strange. The prosthetics are so good. I had no idea. I really didn't. And that was Bill Skarsgård? Holy shit. Hell of a performance. So, yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a better movie than I even realized the first time watching it. I mean, of course, the period piece and just the cinematography, I just drank all that in. That was awesome. No doubts there. But kind of rethinking the character, definitely worth it. Anthony Timmons says, well, I'm out. Have a good one, Starshippers. Have a good one, Anthony. Good to see you. There he goes. Yeah, we got one more in the stack of stuff before we wrap it up. This one's kind of just for fun. Because I saw this movie. It's one of the dumbest films I've ever seen by M. Night Shyamalan. I don't understand why M. Night Shyamalan is like, he still makes these movies. They all suffer from the same flaw every single time. This is one of his worst ever. This is one of his worst films ever. It's called Trap. The concept of this film is Josh Hartnett plays a middle-aged serial killer with a daughter who is taking her to a concert. He's taking her to the equivalent of a kind of Taylor Swift concert. And it's like, she's so excited to be there. Little does he know that the police somehow know he's going to be there and have said it. They don't know who he is or what he looks like, but they know he's going to be there. How? It's bizarre and it makes very little sense. They do explain it, but the explanation actually kind of makes it worse, if you ask me. But yeah, I suppose it would be a spoiler. I guess I could spoil it. His wife knows he's a serial killer. She thinks he's up to something. She doesn't know he's a serial killer. She thinks he's up to something though, and she reports him to the police in this way that doesn't it tips off the police but doesn't reveal who he is. It's so weird. It's such a bizarre. Anyway, everything about this movie is like an old dude's kind of portrayal of what young people like and enjoy. And so nothing about this has the ring of verisimilitude. The police plot is just dopey as hell. It's so dumb. It's such a dumb idea. And because the whole movie, you're like, how could the police know he's here and not know what he looked like, not know anything about him? They're going off of a profile, and they're screening all these men. Every man in a stadium filled with thousands of people. They have mobs of police going through crowds and sorting through the men in the stadium to figure out which of them is the serial killer. But they don't know what the serial killer looks like. It's so stupid. And so you're meant to feel all this tension because Josh Hartnett's character, who is the serial killer, he's looking around at the police. Oh no, what if they see me? Well, if they see you, they won't know it's you because they don't know what you looks like. So then how are we meant to feel tension that he might get caught? Well, enter girl boss. Seriously. So there's this old FBI profiler woman with a British accent, because of course she has a British accent, and she's like this super genius profiler. And even though she doesn't know what he looks like, she has no real clues to his identity. She purely just has a psychological profile she's constructed of what he might be like. And if she just sees him, she'll know it's him. Oh, that's a great standard of proof, isn't it? It's retarded. Okay, so we're going to do Ryan George's pitch meeting on this, because I have not seen this, and I get a huge kick out of these. I bet this is going to be a good one. Here we go. Roll tape.
So, you have a movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. And I've actually been working with M. Night Shyamalan on this script. He's made a good movie. He has, sir, and this is going to be another...
That's so good. He made a great movie once. Called Sign. No. What was it? The Sixth Sense. That was, I would argue, he's made two. Unbreakable was really good. Unbreakable was his best film. I would argue Split is pretty good and Devil is okay. It's a trash movie, but I like it anyway. That would be The Village. But everything else he's made, total garbage. Lady in the Water, garbage. Signs, what a mess. Glass. Glass is one of the worst films I've ever seen. The Happening, ridiculous. This movie might be his second worst. The Happening is his worst movie. But this is a close second.
Movie. Amazing. So what's this one about? This one's about showing off his daughter's music. What? Yeah, she's a singer, so a good chunk of the movie...
Dude, you know what's funny is I did not know that it was his daughter cast as the pop star in this movie. But when I saw this character, I was like, this has got to be his daughter, because this is pure nepotism. This is not a person that would in any way be a pop star. It's just not even possible. Dude, he literally just made this movie so his daughter can be the equivalent of Taylor Swift in it. Folks, it's bad. It's really bad.
music. What? Yeah, she's a singer, so a good chunk of the movie is going to be her performing almost entire songs that she herself wrote. I don't know if we could just do that. We might need to have some kind of story revolving around that. Oh, yeah, no, there's a good reason for it. The movie mostly takes place at a huge pop star's concert, so she'll be the pop star. All right, I just want to point out this is Hollywood, all right? People don't just give major career opportunities to family members. Obviously, I know that, sir, but there's a first time for everything. I guess you're right. If she's a good singer, why not have her play the pop star? Exactly, and then also later she'll kind of become the protagonist. Oh, is she a good actress too? Sir, she's M. Night's daughter. Is that a yes? Fantastic singer, but the acting... So anyway, the serial killer...
Oh, it's so true. The third act of this movie is preposterous. It is preposterous. It totally turns into her movie, this pop star character. It turns into her out of nowhere. Almost out of nowhere, it becomes her movie.
Cooper brings his daughter to a Lady Raven concert and sees that this place is just crawling with cops and FBI. Okay. And this merch seller guy lets him in on a secret that this whole thing's a big old trap because they know this serial killer, the Butcher, will be there. So their plan is risking the lives of like 20,000 innocent people by locking them in a building with a known killer? Yes, but also like every police officer and FBI agent in existence. That doesn't seem like the best use of resources. This whole situation doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But pretty crazy situation, right? Yes? Right. So here we go. Oh, okay. So now Cooper needs to find a way out of here while hiding the truth from his daughter and avoiding capture. So what kind of stuff's he gonna do? Oh, a whole bunch of shenanigans. He's gonna push a woman down the stairs? Oh, like a closed stairwell? No, just in full view of everyone. Does nobody see that? I guess not. He's also gonna walk into a concession stand and cause an explosion. Does this guy have an invisibility cloak or something? And then that merch guy is gonna bring him into the employees only area and tell him the secret code they've been given. Felix Felicis is the twist that this takes place in the wizarding world of Harry Potter. No twist in this M. Night movie, sir. Yeah, I guess that is a twist in and of itself. He's also gonna steal that employee's access badge, walk into a crowd of cops, steal one of their walkie-talkies. Oh, do they not have a description of the guy they're looking for? No, they do. They just let him walk around doing super suspicious things because he's got a charming smile like... Oh, my God. Anyway, eventually Cooper learns...
No, but they don't, though. They don't have a specific... They have a profiler's idea of what he will be. He will be middle-aged, you know, probably a white guy, roughly this height. That's all they know. They don't know what he actually looks like, but yes.
Learns that the only way out of this place is through the backstage area. Well, it's gonna be hard for him to get backstage. Actually, it's gonna be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, see, he finds out that Lady Raven brings a fan up on stage at every concert, so he walks up to the first guy he sees, and it turns out to be the guy who chooses that fan. Wow, what are the odds of that? 1 in like 20,000, I guess, so he tells this guy that his daughter used to have leukemia, so that he chooses her. Oh. And obviously, since she used to be sick, that means the police officers won't check her and Cooper as they're led backstage. Why would they not check a guy who matches the exact description they're looking for? Well, because they figure it'd be impossible for an elusive serial killer to come up with some kind of plan. Being awful at your job is tight. Yeah, so then backstage after the show, he pulls Lady Raven aside for a one-on-one conversation, which is a thing that is allowed to happen. Yes, he just pulls an incredibly famous pop star into a one-on-one conversation backstage at her own concert and reveals that he's the Butcher. What? Why? Well, he shows her a live stream of a guy he's kidnapped and says he'll press a button and kill the guy if she doesn't invite him and his daughter into her limo. Oh, very sneaky. Yeah, so she does that and the three of them hop in the limo and drive off. So a pop star just gets into a limo after a show without any security or employees or anything like that? Yes. Oh, you said that pretty confidently, so now I buy it. Great. So he just wants her to drop them off at their car, but she...
Oh my God. This movie is so insanely stupid. I just don't understand it. Why is Shalamon thought to be this genius? Like, he's such a genius. His plots are so amazing. His twists are so incredible. Why do they think this?
She comes up with the clever idea of inviting herself to their house. Why would she do that and not just drop them off and immediately call the police? Because she's leading the investigation now. She is? Yeah, because of the singer/actress's aforementioned parentage.
Oh, this would be the third act I'm referring to.
Oh, right. So at the butcher's house, she freaking steals his phone, locks herself in the bathroom, and talks to the kidnapped guy through the stream. What do they talk about? Well, she gets him to describe where he is. Yeah, so she can call the cops. Nope, so she can live stream to her fans on Instagram and tell them to find him, which they do in a few minutes.
Oh no, I forgot about that. Oh my god, it's so stupid. So this pop star who's like she's like the equivalent, Lady Raven. She's like the equivalent of like a Taylor Swift or a Zendaya or something. She's in this bathroom and she's live streaming to all of her fans the details of where this guy's being held back. Hey guys, we gotta save a life here. Internet, you gotta go find this guy before he gets, gassed to death. It's so stupid.
It's before Cooper can even get into the bathroom. Well, not everybody can quickly break down a door. It takes a special set of skills. What's this guy's job anyway? Firefighter. Okay, that's one of the ones.
That's right. He can't break down a bathroom door, but he's a firefighter.
On jobs where you would be able to do that. So now a SWAT team's on the way. What's he gonna do now? He's gonna steal one of their SWAT outfits, sneak into the limo, and kidnap Lady Raven. How does he manage that? Well, see, he has a secret tunnel under his house. That's not really an explanation. Oh, that's all you're gonna get. Oh, dang it. So then they're gonna drive up to a huge crowd of her fans, and she manages to get their attention and get out of the limo. Jeez Louise. Well, I guess that's it, right? There's no way he can escape a limo while everyone is staring at it. You'd think so, but he manages to slip out and disguise himself as a fan and blend into the crowd. How did he get out of the limo and do a costume change while everyone was watching? Yeah. All right, again, that's not an explanation. So he heads right back home, which is something a smart person would do. Is it? Yes, and he realizes that his wife is the one who tipped off the cops about the concert thing because she suspected he might be the butcher. Why not tip them in the direction of the fire station instead of an arena full of 20,000 young people? Because I'm not going to set the movie at a fire station. That makes sense. So obviously he's about to kill her, but she's like, wait, first, let's sit down and have some pie. What? Why would he? So they sit down and he eats a whole piece of pie while she doesn't touch hers. Really? Yeah, but turns out she poisoned it. Yeah. And then a bunch of cops bust in and taser him like 5 times and he gouges one of their eyes out. That's not how tasers or poison work, I don't think. So then he's busted, but before putting him in the police truck, they let him mess around with this little bike that had fallen over. He just gouged a man's eyes out. Yeah, so they let him take a little moment by himself. But he secretly steals a spoke from the bicycle, and in the back of the police truck, he undoes his handcuffs and smiles. Okay. Yeah, so he's happy because he's basically escaped. And so then we're done. I mean, he's still locked in the back of a police truck, right? That doesn't really mean he's gonna escape. And so then we're done. What do you think? Well, it sounds like a movie, Thank you. And I think it has the potential to be M. Night Shyamalan's best in years.
Oh man, hat tip pitch meeting with Ryan George. Holy crap, that is jeez. Oh my god, that last act of the movie is so stupid. It's kind of a thing to behold, quite frankly. I mean, it is interesting that the movie's so bad that I kept watching it to see how bad it would get. I'm also watching Silo. We got the Landman season finale tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. And we also have Silo season 2, which looks like the finale is going to be next week. So I watched the penultimate episode of Silo season 2. And I'm very frustrated because the show is mostly really, really good. However, they've descended into this trope where characters will get shot with an arrow, they'll get whacked over the head, they'll even get the bends from rising out of water too quickly, and then they'll just suddenly not have that problem. They'll just suddenly be fine and not wounded or sick or they'll be suffering from an infection and they just get better all of a sudden. It's very annoying. It's really annoying storytelling. It's like, well, if you didn't want to introduce the character having to solve this problem, then why did you introduce it? Why did you make a big deal of this whole thing about the bends if you're just going to ignore it in the next episode? So it's very frustrating, but we'll keep an eye on it for you, chat. We will keep an eye on it. Well, my dear sailors and star nauts, that is our show for January 12th, year of our Lord 2025. Just a little hanging, a little chilling. Skeleton Crew is so lame. It's so boring. Don't bother. Mr. Producer, which one am I'm looking for that one? All right, my dear sailors and startups. Well, I am Captain Garrett of the Swords and Starships channel. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the stream. And until next time, I will see you out there.